Fred Armisen. When I think of Fred, I think of sweet and nice.
Yes.
When I think of David,
Porcupine.
I'll get back to you.
Look at this. What I got on my phone. What's up?
It's just
Hello?
audio, isn't
I
it?
gotta take this. I gotta take this. Yeah. Oh, 1,000,000 Deutschmarks. No, Bitcoins. No, flip it for polka dot. Okay. Sorry, I had to take that.
You gotta get
Fred Armisen.
You better get a show on Netflix. You got a lot.
No, everyone makes fun of my phone because it has that. I really stepped into it and just said, no, I owned it.
Fred Armisen, sweet guy.
I just saw a sketch of his I'm going to ask about, but I just saw a sketch of his that's hysterical. He's got and he was in the bubble. Fred's in the bubble, and I didn't recognize him because he's wearing a wig. And I said, oh, are you playing a character? I don't know how acting works. Anyway.
Fred is extremely versatile, and his thing is music. Like he's a real musician, and he's a real drummer.
Oh, yeah. He would sit in on Seth, right?
His comedy is always very rhythmic and musical.
What about mine?
Yours is you're the king of snark.
That's it? After
Didn't
all
they used
this
to call
time, that's
your
all
brand
I
of
get?
comedy snarky?
Yeah, Dan Aykroyd said snarky, and I never had heard that term.
Me neither. I don't know when it came
And that was
up.
way, way back when I was on the show. He goes, you got snarky down, kid. And I was like, snarky? I thought it was a Canadian word. I didn't know.
I like when an adult, he's like 18 months older than me. Listen to me, kid.
He seems older because he was such a legendary. We took over Spin Magazine for a month at the old SNL, and I got to interview Danny Aykroyd.
Oh, yeah.
All right, sir. Fair enough, sir. And talking about Blues Brothers and all the cool things I liked. Fred Armisen, we keep getting drifting off.
Does every dialect. He does every musical style. And he's just everywhere. He works like crazy. He's always in stuff.
Yeah.
You know?
And we got to sit down with him, and now you get to. So plug it in, crank it up, and break it off.
Squeeze it, hone it, shine it, pluck it, wax it.
And smack it on
Fred
the bing
Armisen.
bong. Here we go.
Fred Armabomb.
Freddie Armisen.
Freddie Armisen. Go. It feels like, Fred, you're the first cast member. Are we starting, or is it?
Start this shit.
Wait, can you hear me okay? Like, is the mic working okay and all that stuff?
I can hear you. Can you hear?
Unfortunately, yes.
Can you hear me, Fred?
Yes. Crystal clear.
Can you hear Spade?
Yeah.
Can you hear me now, Fred? Okay. I can't trick a trickster.
Bits?
Of all the cast members of SNL, you had the widest range of ethnicities, or whatever the word would be, that you could play. Like you could play like anything from all over the world. What was that about?
It's just that
Keep your answer to 1 hour exactly.
my mom's Venezuelan, so and my dad is half Korean and half German. So I think that they were, they're immigrants. So I think somewhere in there, as far as the DNA goes, that's how it worked.
You're
out.
all over. Yeah.
But you're not offending anyone because you're a part 1% of something.
Yes.
So
Yeah,
that's a good idea.
And that's just how it worked out. And you know how it is over there. Like when they have, a role for you in one of the sketches, you just, try to do it.
I played Tony Montana in a sketch.
Yeah.
I don't know if I can do that now. Whenever I do that, because I enjoy doing Scarface, the Tony Montana accent. And I go, I'm doing Al Pacino's bizarre Cuban accent. And that seems to relax people. Like I'm not making a statement about people from Cuba.
It is tough if you're just trying to mimic something or mimic a look, which is the whole thing. And some are offensive and some aren't, when you're just going, I'm just trying to do my best to represent that person, whatever that is, voice, hair, face, wigs. And then sometimes a wig will be counted as offensive or something about it will be offensive. And then more and more as time goes on. With me and Dana, not as bad. With you, maybe it was a little tougher.
A little, but then I think it just got tougher as the casts kept
Really
going.
tough.
So as the years kept going, that kept changing. And it probably will keep changing. I'm
It's
guessing.
getting tougher for sure.
I think so. But I think there's stuff I've looked up with other, I call them bandmates, your bandmates from, that era with, line them up. It was as good as any cast by far. I mean, you had Maya, you had Amy, you, Seth, you had Billy Hader, you had Jason Sudeikis. So you had an all-star,
Andy Samberg.
And you guys could get away with a lot in 2005, I think.
Yeah,
not so-called get away. You could expand your comedy appetites, and then it did evolve into wherever it is.
And get away with stuff.
And get away with it. Sounds kind of negative, David.
No, but listen, first of all, I apologize. My voice is so sexy, but I think I might, I don't know.
What?
You may have COVID?
No, I don't. I don't because I did. No, Fred, stop spreading the rumor. I went to James Corden yesterday and they gave me a test, so I don't have it. But I just feel, you know what? I'm a hard worker. That's my crime.
Yeah. Oh,
I work so hard.
I'm gonna do
Fred. You get it.
My Christoph Waltz. I'm doing my new Christoph Waltz impression, talking about that. So you're a hard worker. That's when I was in Dusseldorf, people would say I look like a crazy person on the street. And this is just him in real life. He's not even. He's you're kind of like him, Fred, in a way. Like you hit these rhythms. You do stuff that makes me so happy. And I don't like rankings anymore because people ask us, what's the best? What's the second? I'll just say you're one of my favorites because you never pushed. They're all such quirky stuff. And even you and Bill Hader's Italian, fake Italian guy, which I love that sketch. Just how you're playing it so real. Just as the guy eating. Like I could listen to that forever, but shall we go back to the beginning?
But Dana, coming from you, I mean, like walking the halls of SNL, you just came up all the time as like the gold standard of how to have like an incredible first year. I cannot believe even your first year.
Oh yeah, he came out of the gate with a cold open and never looked back.
Once I had the lady, I was okay, but. You came in as a feature player, and also it was different back then. The show, there was only 6 of us, me, Phil, John,
what,
and of main players.
Wow! No wonder you got fed. 6 little birds in the nest. You got so many worms.
Michael Winslow.
And you fucking made fun of me on Kimmel. I'll talk to you after the class.
I did it once because you're a fan favorite on Kimmel, and then every time I did it, they laugh. So I'm a comedian, so I'm like, it's like okay. I go, I'm David. I'm sad.
That's pretty good, actually.
Anyway, back.
But David, I did not mean. I didn't want to overlook the fact that how great you were on SNL as well. I didn't mean to
swinging back.
Just you didn't want to gloss over that. So,
no, thank you, buddy. But I will give it up that Dana was the gold standard. When I got there, he was already crushing it, and then he just
with
continued to mow
everything.
down. Yeah.
Thank you. We're recording, right? This is recording. Okay, good. Just want to make sure.
Put it for your clip reel.
This is called Gold. No, but I don't know where to start with you, and I want to get to a lot of things. I hope you don't have much to do today.
I have I think 4 minutes, and then we gotta wrap it up.
Oh, you got a hard, fast.
I have a question for him, Dana. Before you get to really young stuff, because he hasn't really answered anything yet. Mm-hmm. We just talk over him. Mm-hmm. But Fred, one of my favorite things that I did not see live, but I saw today, was such a great monologue when you acted out you doing a play about how you got SNL.
Yeah, like a one man show.
Yeah, it was so weird and quirky and interesting, and I loved how Dana, he does Lauren's voice in it, and of course he does it really horribly and nothing like Lauren.
Yeah, like a mafia boss or something.
Yeah, he goes. I went in his office. And he's like, "Hey kid, come on."
That's all written by Seth Meyers. That monologue.
Oh, for real?
Yeah, top to bottom.
Great.
It
was great. Because I just, when you do that, I picture it at read through. Sometimes monologues for people at home don't get put up at read through because they're not even written till Friday.
Right.
But if you do it at read through, I was thinking, fuck, he's got to move around and stand up. And so that read throughs where you move around are tough. You can lose the crowd quickly. Also, Dana,
or in the
like
performance on Wednesday,
Fred would go because you walked off the stage and you went up to someone in the audience. What did you ask her?
Don't answer it. You know, like, what do you think?
Yeah,
what do you think?
What do you
And-
think? What do you think? And she just as a real person, right?
Yeah, that was a real person. Yeah.
Yeah, and then she doesn't know what to say, so she finally goes, you think I'm lying? You think I'm lying? She goes, no, and you go, don't answer, please, don't ruin it. You're ruining
it's
it.
part of the show.
And then you keep asking her, and then she says something else, and you go, God damn, you ruined it, and you walk back. All that was so funny if you want to look it up.
Thanks. But what I was going to ask you guys is where at read through, what space did you go to do stuff where you had to walk? Because you know how difficult it is around a table. Where were you when you had to sort of act something out?
It was kind of over by Cheryl Hardwick on the piano. There was just a little wedge of a space there.
Yeah.
And I did one once. I really didn't like to do it because it felt like you were trying too hard, but I did one once with Ben Stiller playing Bono. I was playing the Edge, and Dolly Parton had to stand up, and we stood and did our little sketch there. You know, that was the one I remember for you. Did you stand up a lot or move around in the?
I'm the same. Like I did not like to do it because it was just also, you know, 3 sketches before it, you're sort of thinking, okay, where do I have to go? Where do I have to walk to? And then like, but it was sort of over by kind of by the piano, but in between those doors, there's like these 2 main doors before you go into that writer's room. In there looked like a little bit of a stage, kind of.
Yeah.
But God,
the entrance to the writer's room.
Yes. Kind of in front of it towards the table.
But we had so many fucking people jammed in read through room. I mean, it was, if people at home can picture like a big sort of square where everyone sits around, all the main cast and Lauren and the host.
Yeah.
Host and Lauren were by the window. I got to sit next to the host when Dana left. But before that, I think I sat behind Dana. And then, do you know where you were in that thing? Because it was like 3 deep. Like people were stacked in there.
At the table, I was diagonally across to the left. And I think I was at the same place every year, which I liked. It was like,
once you pick a place, you kind of stay there. And you know, for people at home, again, it's like 3 or 4 deep, and you have every department. You have a rep from every department. So Wiggs will be watching a sketch like you do, and you see him scribbling going, oh, this is going to fucking suck. This guy needs 8 wigs in here. And then music, if you need them, Cheryl hits the piano, or maybe GE's in there, and they help a bit. But you're right. You know what? You don't want to be sweaty.
No.
And so if you get up to do a bit, everyone's like, this better be 3 times as funny as it would have been sitting down.
Yeah, because you've got to walk up to that spot. That's the hard part. You got to like
a 5-hour read through, and everyone's like, what are you doing?
Because you're snaking through with your little script, and he's moving up there now.
Excuse
and now
me,
he's going to perform
with a ukulele, and it's.
If it bombs, it's even 10 times more sickening.
Awful. Dead silence.
Yeah, that was on a nerve scale of 1 to 10. I mean, where was read through compared to the actual show? I mean, it had its own terrors. Really.
I mean, you know, it went so long that sometimes it just got, you know, you just get sleepy as it's going.
5 hours, right?
Yeah,
4 or 5 hours.
That kind of dissipates after a while. But it's the build up to your sketch that, you know.
Oh, you see it coming, and you're like, oh no, and then something kills right before it, and you go,
my God,
it just fucked me.
Oh my God.
Oh yeah. I'd see like right before it, it's like Adam's new song. I'm like, no. Come on, give me a chance.
Or something where you think it's brilliant. Something that you think is brilliant, and then when you get there, it's the exact opposite. And that silence is the worst.
Yeah, when they don't bite in the first joke that you think is really great, you think the premise has been set up, and you hit your first thing, and it's less than nothing.
No,
there's disdain subconsciously in the room,
and
then you've got 9 pages of pain.
Yeah, when Tom Davis, well, no names, but when Tom Davis would write like a 17-pager, and some of them really worked, and if it doesn't work by page 4, and you feel the whole wave just tap out, everyone leans back, and you just go, oh, and if you're in it or if you wrote it, and you're like, please God, let me Lauren, just go to the next one. Don't do this to me, because I don't want to be like, just swinging hard. And everyone already just said, no, not on this one.
No, nobody. Even your best friends are like,
it's not clicking. And they kind of were quietly going, yeah.
So Fred, you since we're on SNL, because you were on it, so you come in as a feature, and then in 2 seasons, you go to the main company. Like, how was that journey? How did that change? And what begot that?
I felt lucky to even be there at all. You know, even that first show, I didn't know that I was going to get on, you know? Mm-hmm. So whatever it was, I kind of liked, there was like less pressure to be a feature player. Just this kind of like, it's okay if on a couple of shows I play an elf or something.
Right.
So
or you're not on at all.
That happened.
That happens a lot.
Yeah. And we had a lot of cast members. So it's kind of nice. I kind of liked sort of easing into it. And then, however many, that was like 2 years later, it was like a nice, I don't know, it's a good feeling to, I guess I'm actually part of the cast. But it all felt like just a lucky break every step of the way. Even, and not exaggerating, even the audition, just being there up on, just at the where people do the monologues. Even I was like, I cannot believe I got this
Terrifying.
far. Can't believe that I'm actually on the stage in front of Lorne Michaels. I was starstruck by Lorne Michaels.
And they sit in those little seats like where the audience at home sits during the monologue in the little chairs in front.
Yeah.
And the theater's empty.
Gross.
The studio's dead empty. And it's a death march. What were I don't really know your journey, just to go back a little bit, because I want to talk about your music career and your musicianship. I just had a little pop earlier. He's a musician and a drummer. and then you start, how did you get your stuff together that ended up auditioning? Were you going to theater groups for 3 years, or what was that journey from music to comedy?
I was doing music for a long time, like all through my 20s. I was in a band, and that's all I was going to do. We broke up, and then I started making videos of me interviewing bands and stuff as different characters.
Okay. Yeah, I'm sure they were weird.
It was weird, and
funny.
and I knew the band, so it was just it was kind of, and all of a sudden that video, and it was on VHS, like sort of made the rounds, and I started to, I would be asked to be on some variety show, some like Cornelius Street, something where there's a couple of comedians and some music. And I just started doing characters. I did this one character who I auditioned with, Felicito, like a timbale player. It was like Tito Puente.
Yeah.
And that one. And then somewhere in there, like it fit into stand-up shows. So there would be like all these regular stand-ups, and in it there would be this one weird thing. I would just do a character. I don't think there were any jokes, and that was something that I could sort of use as an act. And then Bob Odenkirk. So I started doing this at Largo in LA, and I would do Felicito. I did this self-defense expert. I did a bunch of characters. And, this scene was like where like Zach Galifianakis was, Nick Swardson.
Oh, Largo's great.
Yeah, Largo is amazing. Yeah. It was kind of like the only place I performed at. And then Bob Odenkirk had me on a pilot for a variety, a sketch show called Next for Fox. It was just a pilot. And I did these characters, and, there were sketches with, everyone, there was like, a cast and everything, but I had enough, the pilot didn't go, but I had enough video to send to SNL. So we sent it.
Did Odenkirk help you with that? Because he's a big deal at SNL.
He's responsible for me having all of that together. Before that, I was just at Largo. He was the one who sort of made the work that I did legitimate to be on a Fox pilot.
Sure. And he could spot that you were good.
He was.
He's great too. He knows amazing. All that shit.
He's amazing.
He goes and does like 3 other great sketch shows.
Yeah. Incredible.
Yeah.
And then from that video, we sent it into SNL, and Marcy Klein saw it. She showed it to Lauren. And then next thing I know,
Marcy, who's going to be on our podcast
Marcy's
soon.
coming on. Yeah,
she knows where all the bodies are buried.
I mean, she really, made sure that Lauren saw it, the video.
Yeah.
And from there, then I just, came into audition, and I just did this.
Was that like 5 years? Sorry, just that timeline of what between musician
it's like 4. It's like 4. So let's something like that. It was 2002 is when I got on the show, and then 99 is like kind of when I was making those videos, like 98, 99. Yeah. So whatever that is. And then
were you ever a straight? I'm sorry, a straight stand-up, or was it always like
never?
You just came on. I don't want to say variety acts. That sounds like you're reducing it too much. So as characters, you'd go on and do, but that's hard to find stage time if you don't go in and say I'm a stand-up. They don't know what to do with you, right?
Yes, but there are venues and shows going on where it works for the show. So if there's like, Patton Oswalt and Paul F. Tompkins and Karen Kilgariff are doing a show, it's like the one little weird thing at the end that kind of works with the rest of the show. So that was like my
little paprika at the end. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was like my sweet spot. So I did the audition as Felicito, that timbale player, and I did him doing impressions and characters. So this way,
Yes.
there's like a way in.
He does Liberace.
Yeah. I did Sam Waterston from Law and Order. And
can we hear a one line?
I can't even picture it.
That's such a subtle one, isn't it?
The trial judge heard the testimony. Why didn't you call 911? Why didn't you call the police? Like this, you know.
Oh, that's awesome.
He just has something like his teeth or something. There's a way that it's in it's in like his skull.
It's very trebly too, and almost garbly.
Yeah,
I love it.
I kind of want to ask you, because these are things that pop into my head. It's like your musicality and your all that. How do I mean? It's obvious it's informing your comedy, and is that how do you find that connection? Like when I was a guest host, you wrote a really funny musical thing we're in, and I was watching you just tap it out on some little computer, and just like I don't know if there's been a cast member who was really a musician like you were, and a brilliant drummer. I thought we'll get to that later, but how does that inform your stuff, or is it just a completely separate part of your brain?
No,
you think it's just intuitive.
It's completely. It was the only thing I knew. You know, like being in bands for that long. That's all I knew was music, and you know, I did have aspirations to. You know, I definitely had ambition to be on TV, but I was just in bands for so long that's all I had was, you know. I could do parodies of songs or of a style. The one that we did that you're talking about was like a parody of just like new wave music. The sketch was that there's a Super Bowl party. They're watching the Super Bowl and then they pause it because like let's let this new wave band play. So everyone's really upset, and it's really new wavy and
super new wavy,
kind of like Soft Cell or the Pet Shop Boys or something. But it's just all I knew, and just the same way that some people, you know, could talk about their families or whatever, or do impressions. For me, it was just music is like a crutch. It's like my only way in.
It's a big plus on SNL if you can weave in music into something. They love it.
Yeah,
but like your Sam Waterston is kind of musical. You know,
Definitely.
It's extenuating him into these musical rhythms. You know, that's a rim shot, and
he's like doing a speech. You know, he's like performing for the court. You know,
but picking that out, it's like you're playing a cowbell.
It's one of those impressions where you don't know there's an impression, and then you do it, and everyone goes, "Oh, right, okay."
Yeah,
those are good because it's hard to break. It's hard to break ground in impressions and just come up with a new one.
But I think that Lorne is a really musical person. In fact, it's like it was like the first. Hello. It's the
hello, Fred.
Hello, Dana. Hello.
Do you mean as an impression of him or as a person?
No, as a person. As a person, I think he's such a music fan that that's where it was easiest for me to connect with him as a person. So for me to talk to him about all the musical guests he's had on the shows.
Interesting.
It's such a quick, easy conversation to talk to him about all those music, which I love talking to him about, you know, all the bands that he booked, and it's just easy. And he's into it. Like a lot of those were his decisions, booking a lot of those bands.
Fred, what do you think of Eagle Eye Cherry?
Should we do it? I don't know if the year, but
yeah, hello. I did. When I hosted, it was Eagle Eye Cherry, and I go, Marcy, why do I get? I mean, no offense, but I didn't know who that was. And then the next time I didn't, and they go, the formula is big host. We don't need a huge music act. I go, are you saying I'm a big host? They're like, well, in this situation, it's a little different. Wait, no. I like the first. I don't want to be the exception to the rule. No. So yeah, it's fun to have. I always wanted a big band, but
I remember when both of you hosted. Those were both really.
Did we do something with me, you, and Maya? And we were like. And we were dressed like very snooty, and I came to your house or something. And
yes, we were this design couple.
Yes,
like this Danish design. So we had all these chairs, and the whole joke
everything's
is like
uncomfortable.
The design of the chairs.
Yeah. God, I love Maya. Maya and I did a song too. Who cares? But back to Fred. Fred, you're gonna get to talk toward the end of this. But
great.
I do have another sketch I like, Dana. I'm gonna tell Fred just to boost his ego so he doesn't like zone out.
Have you ever had someone zone out?
A couple.
Yeah, we've a couple of. No, I don't think so.
We always have to scream at them for interrupting me and Dana talking when it's their show.
Mhm.
So you had one called Coat Check, but was that really cut? Is that really wasn't on air?
Yes, that's a Cecily Strong one.
That's a great one.
But they put it online, which is kind of the same thing.
Oh, it's
now.
great. I mean, I wish we had
It's-
fucking online. Oh my god.
I know.
Best
we wouldn't
of
have
dress?
thought about stuff getting. Can you imagine?
We used to joke about Best of Dress. Oh, that'll be on Best of Dress because it never gets on. But she was your girlfriend in it?
Yeah, it's so good.
Girlfriend.
That is such a
wow.
good one.
Okay.
Eh.
Remember when she kept saying that? You go, hey, we're a couple now. She goes, couple. Wow. Okay.
It's so good.
That was
It
a
was so
really
good.
weird one. And it was perfect
Yeah.
because it was pretty simple. And Dana, he kept asking for his coat. It's hard to explain. But
Yeah, I'm like, this is not my coat.
how
Does
does
this
that
look like
not
a coat I
make
would
it?
wear?
God damn.
You know
I
how it
know.
is. I mean,
But it seemed like it was working.
but I do feel like it made its way on. I mean,
Oh, well, the fact that I saw it, like, that's great. If anyone can just see it.
yeah, and I think they put it online the next day or something. So
That's cool.
It had its own life for sure, but it was brilliant.
Sometimes dresses are a little rough on the edges because you don't even know the fucking lines. You haven't done it since Thursday or something or Friday.
No, you don't.
And
yeah.
you're just doing it live. You're like, I rehearsed this once 2 days ago and we're already in front of a crowd. It's dress, but you're still like figuring it out and you're remembering the blocking and the air. You kind of go, okay, I know it a little better.
Yeah.
That's the fun of dress.
I like that.
Yeah.
So I mean, there are those times where you don't quite understand what's happening in the sketch. Like, where am I? What am I in this?
Yeah.
Do I have an accent halfway through?
I did a Jack Handy sketch with Robert Mitchum, and neither of us knew what the sketch was about. He was a beekeeper in the Himalayas or something. Jack Handy,
Did Jack Handy stay around for you guys or no?
No, he was gone already.
Have you heard about him?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, also his
Deep thoughts.
work is amazing. That really stood the test of time.
It's almost like a fake guy. You hear deep thoughts of Jack Handy. People go, wait, is that a real guy?
That's what I thought when I got there. Oh, your camera went. David, your camera went dark.
I know, but
David,
I'm still
what
going.
are you doing?
Heather,
Did your
David.
I have
lights
work
go
out
out?
front. They probably cut through the fucking.
Oh, there you are. You're like fading in, but your sound is good.
Jeez, Heather,
Wow.
made it worse.
Wow.
There you go.
There you go.
Felicito.
I didn't think that was possible.
You know what? Hashtag mansion probs.
Hey, Fred, what was your
Mansion problems.
your team stuff? What was your favorite? I know you had the Californians, which I was watching that maybe 3 weeks ago, and you came in and you did it so earnestly.
Yeah.
Your guy, and it just I don't know, that sketch really kills me. And you did others with.
Do you
other
remember?
people.
Do you remember the email I sent you, Dana?
I do. I still can't.
David, you're gonna like this.
Okay.
This is a good story, and I've told it before, but it's really good. The Californians. It's all about finding directions in LA. How everyone talks about directions, right?
Mm.
But I had seen Dana. I was with him, and we did a stand-up show in San Francisco. And Dana was telling me about his son. And he's telling me about his son. He's just like, it's hard to be mad at him because I think he got pulled over or something.
Yeah.
And he does this impression of his son, and he goes, no, Dad, no, you don't,
Yeah.
And from that, as we were trying to do like a California accent, as we're writing the sketch, that kind of came up. It's like, no, Dad. And it's kind of the way that he talks is based on Dana's impression of his son.
That's unreal.
So I sent him an email before it aired. I was like, hey, just so you know, there's, we're going to do this sketch called The Californians, and it comes from your impression of your son. Will you do it? How was your son? Like, do it.
I've done different incarnations of it, actually.
But no,
I'm trying to think.
Dad.
But is this pretty much all we're gonna do today? That's him in the Roman Colosseum. Why are you getting? I like it when young people now say, "Why are you being so extra?" That's the latest thing.
That's a good one.
Don't be so extra. That's such a beautiful use of language. But that I guess the arbitrariness of that, like I think Bill said you got on the soundstage and suddenly you were doing that guy, or was it in read through?
It was like a common. It was a bit also we would do at the table. You know that moment before you're actually reading the sketches.
Mm-hmm.
We did it like we would. Everyone goes to LA in the summer. So when we came back, we would just start talking like, where were you? Were you? Oh, I was in LA. Like, did you go up Barham? Did you make a left on? And then that sort of, built up and built. Well, we kept doing it. And then I worked with this writer, James Anderson, and I was like, what do we do with this Californians? What can we do with these directions? And he was simply like, why don't we just make it a soap opera? And so
it's such an odd call, though.
I know, but that's kind of like the magic of, this is so corny. It's the magic of working with writers that like, I never would have thought of that. And just to have someone say, let's make it a soap opera and then it's done. But,
for stand-ups who write their own material for utterly. And when you get on SNL and suddenly somebody is handing you something and you go, wow, this is great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it just got handed to me. That was revelatory to me. Like, wow. Or taking your idea and greatly improving it. Like, oh, this is so much better.
Yes.
So it was exhilarating, really, to
you
collaborate.
You go knock on anyone's door and you go, will you read this once if you have a second? And they go, even Downey goes, you know what I might do is at the end, there's something funny about if you just don't ever say that. And I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah. And then that's all you get. And then you go and you figure it out. But if they can give you anything, just fresh eyes, and they're all smart. So they're all thinking, what's the best for this? That's such a gift, man. It's hard to get people to write with
and they
you.
care. They care about the piece being good.
Right.
So their advice is always the best advice.
Oh, I'd see them if you came off something that someone else had written and it worked. There was like a quick little party.
Yeah, they love
kind of
you.
backstage, like hugging. And, oh man, crushed it. So that was a real high for them. And I didn't really realize till later that at least back then, at least half the writing staff wanted to be performing as well. They were in the writer's box for a while, and then they, like Bob Odenkirk,
Yeah.
And then he got out of that.
Yeah, they were both on ours.
Conan as well.
They'd write themselves in just little things, and it wouldn't seem to work. They would just, not that they weren't good, but they would be replaced. Maybe we had too many cast members, and it was very hard. It was because I was a feature player, very hard to get on. We had too many mouths to feed, and I think that's sort of the norm now, just too many.
How many were in your cast? You were in like
22.
Different casts. I feel like you were.
Yeah, he was.
You like
overlapped
a
me.
bridge. Yeah.
It was tough when I got there because these guys everyone's a fucking, first ballot Hall of Famer, and so you got, you're gonna do something instead of Phil Hartman, no chance. Lovitz was even there for a little bit. Dana and Dennis Miller and Jan Hooks and Nora Dunn were both unreal.
God, they were great.
Myers. And then they influxed Farley and Sandler, and Schneider's a very good sketch guy, and
Chris Rock
and Tim Meadows. So, it's just not enough to go around. It's just, that's the way it is.
That's your memory of it as a viewer. I never thought of that. I was never like, David Spade isn't getting enough. I was always like, did you see the thing that he did on Update?
Yeah. All you need is something for them to remember. Yeah.
Yeah. True. And then that's like that's the main memory from it. Never did I think that.
And it's better to be in almost less than just make them try to work. Because I told Dana that the first show I came into, they brought you in a day early and to watch the show. And Lovitz was all depressed. He was only in 2 things. And he goes, well, Dana's in 6. And I said what you said. I said, I've never seen this show and thought someone was light.
Still.
I just think there's that guy I love. Oh, that's funny. He's in that.
Yeah.
Was never counting lines or sketches. And then when I got there, I fell right into it.
I preferred personally like to be in 2 things, maybe.
Totally.
Or a third as a supporting character.
Yeah.
But to shepherd a sketch, even one where you're kind of the executive producer of your sketch is very nice. That's why, and I was going to ask you about when you hosted SNL, the difference in that, because you have to really let it go. You're kind of have to prepare 13 or 14 sketches and then 6 or 8 get cut. So what was that like emotionally for you when you came back? You did 11 seasons at the time, as long as anybody, right?
Yeah.
Huge run.
Yeah.
And then you come back and host, and you come out and do your monologue, and they're screaming. It's surreal, isn't it? How did you feel about it?
I mean, I loved it so much. Like what a highlight in life, just in general.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But the experience, of handing everything over, like I really was like, I was still in the mode of like, oh man, I got to take care of all these sketches, make sure I write this much. And you're doing so much other stuff that everything is taken care of for you. So all these writers are coming up with stuff. I didn't even have time to think. And then it just turned out great on its own. So I really like that part of it, of just trusting everyone. And then that worked out.
They're laser focused on you.
Yes. And they know you. They know what you like to do and what what's going to work.
It's such a big transition on the show when the audience starts to be familiar with you. And I don't know how many shows it takes, but you see people all the time who come on unknown, and then they turn it better. The audience goes, I like you, man or woman.
Yeah.
And then it gives you so much more confidence.
Yes.
Because you can feel that they're on your side already, as opposed to, is this guy going to make it, or is this woman going to make it on the show? And so when did you start to feel that? Like 4 years in, 3 years in?
That's what I was going to say. I was going to say like 3 or 4 years in.
Mm-hmm.
I did this judge, what was his name? Judge Seidlin or something. And something, he was like the Anna Nicole Smith judge,
Oh, yeah.
Something in there felt like I had to work less, meaning like I was like, oh, please like this. It felt a little more like I could come out on Update and it was okay. And
they're happy.
And you're right. Like there's a feeling of being familiar that I really liked. But something in there, I don't know, 3 years or something.
Yeah, that I think is pretty typical. And when you were out there with your different bandmates, it seemed like you obviously had Garth and Kat with Kristen Wiig, who's supernatural sketch performer, and then you and Bill Hader, just to me, just had a symbiotic thing as well.
We did.
You just mixed really well. And was he someone new when you got out there and the band's playing, they're doing your tie or whatever it is, and you see Bill, he calms you down? I mean, where were you on the nerve scale?
I was kind of okay on the nerve scale. I don't know why. I just enjoyed it and had such a great time. But being with Bill really felt like I was really with my friend. Like we made each other laugh so much, and we just identified with each other, supported each other. There was something in that relationship where it just was really supportive and fun all the way. God, he made me laugh all the time. I mean, everybody did, but there was something with him that I felt like we were going through, I don't know, the same experience, being there.
Do you have a favorite writer?
James Anderson, because we wrote so much together. We just always ended up writing together. But
to have someone.
Yeah. But but when you're there, I mean, there's so many people who are so prolific. I remember when I first got there, seeing Tina Fey's work ethic was incredible. That changed. Just to see how focused someone could be on writing without ego. That was like a real. I was like, that's the way to be. That's the way to be a writer. She was so good.
She can churn it out too.
She can just write great jokes, just one after the other.
Yeah, I don't know.
She has some kind of frequency that just, they come to her. She reminds me of Steve Martin in many ways. I don't know why. I just kind of put them together in some ways. They write great books, and they're intellectuals, but they don't wear it on their sleeve at all.
No, there's a humility to it.
Yeah.
But it's still effortless somehow. They just sit down, and then all of this stuff starts coming out week after week. I couldn't believe it. So she was. But everyone, Seth Meyers is also
great.
Sort of selfless and works really hard. Like he would just work throughout the whole night.
Were you hired as a writer performer?
No, I was
just feature player.
Just
feature player, but you know how it is. We write.
Sure.
Anyway.
I'm just saying, because Dana and we asked people because I was a writer performer. I didn't want to be a writer, and they wanted me to be more than they wanted me to be a feature player. And Schneider, same thing. We hired together, but Dana was hired straight cast because he's such a home run hitter, but no writing. But that kind of sucks because everyone writes.
Yeah.
And so it's like, who decides? It's a weird decision to go, you're not a writer, especially feature, because you're just scrambling to get on. So you have to write an update or something. No one even knows you.
Yeah.
We just accepted it. I mean, it's really just the platform of being on SNL. If you were a main player, Phil did get a writing credit because he had written Pee-wee's Big Adventure with Pee Wee Herman.
Oh, bad apple.
But I never had a problem with it. But what one? Oh, yeah.
Remember when he goes, "I'm a bad apple, rotten to the core."
Oh yeah,
that was
Phil
Mace. He was in jail all the time.
So, do you mind if we go back a minute and just talk about your drumming? Because I'm just a big fan of drummers, and I have favorite drummers, and I loved your special stand-up
for drummers.
For drummers, where you just go through at the Great American Music Hall in San Francisco.
Yeah.
And all the kits set up, and you did all the styles.
Yeah,
it was so great. Did you get a lot of feedback from other musicians and drummers about how?
It's like exactly. First of all, thank you. That's very, very kind of you. And I love drumming so much. It's like the biggest part of my life, and that's how I got into showbiz or entertainment. I just still love watching drummers. I still love playing, and the things people have said to me, that was my goal. I was like, I just want something where like drummers can come up to me and feel like they're part of an inside joke, that they can have like a really heartfelt conversation about like, oh man, I'm a drummer and I know exactly what you're talking about, and that's really gratifying. And that whole thing with the drum kits was just like it visually looked cool, just to have all these old kits and go to the 80s. So it was,
and you go one
like
after the other
thing.
And play all these styles. I mean, it's such a singularity as a stand-up special. It's like completely its own thing.
But thank you.
I love the way you play. I just would call you just very musical. You have a heavy foot. You're very light on it. You're very organic with it. I just like to watch you play. Some drummers, you can kind of work with them a little bit. Like, are they going to make it? With you, I feel very relaxed. I mean,
wow, what a thing to say. That's so.
I just all sincere. I just wondered the drummers that inspired you, stood out for you. I mean, Pepsi Coke. It was for my generation. With a friend of mine, it was Ringo Starr or Rolling Stones.
Charlie Watts.
Charlie Watts. Are you? I like you have to be one or the other. You're either Charlie Watts or Ringo Starr. That was like back in the 70s. And who were some of your favorites?
My favorite, like the guy who like I really emulated was Clem Burke from Blondie. And the first time I ever saw him was on SNL.
Whoa.
And he dresses like in a little suit, like he looks like a mod. And his drum kit is set up like it's like this red sparkle kit, like very flat.
Yeah.
And so the aesthetics of how he was, I was like, that's a great way to be. So he's like my favorite drummer. But to your point, I love Ringo. I think everybody loves Ringo. I think there's like a myth that like there's some controversy about it.
He doesn't have a bad rap, right? He doesn't have rap. No. He's not good, right?
What's the myth?
No. The myth is sort of like, well, people talk about him like, he's actually a great drummer. Every drummer I know loves Ringo. Even privately, they'll go, no, those are expressive fills. He's great. Everyone loves him. Everyone loves him.
You put on She Loves You on YouTube, live remix, and the way he goes to the lower tom, I know he's a left-handed drummer, just this little fill.
Yeah.
Like he did these little fills and they were so electric, and he gets shinier and brighter, just like the whole band does.
Yeah.
For me personally, I think that it was such a wave that is still hitting the sand. We are trying to comprehend why and how that happened.
Yeah.
That much great music in 72 months with these four guys.
Yeah. He was perfect for them. And everyone knows that sound. Everyone knows you can hear his drumming in your head when you think of any of their songs.
Yeah, he's stylized to the song.
Yeah.
So when you're playing with your bands, and you came up, kind of Devo, Clash,
all that stuff,
that type of sound.
Yeah.
And what is it?
I'm doing Devo going.
And you're kind of probably a ride the pocket guy with some fills, or you just
no.
How would you describe your style?
Ride the pocket guy.
Ride the pocket is a
like fewer fill. There's this thing that happened.
Lingo alert.
Say again. You integrate the fills into the beat.
That's exactly what I was going to say. That in new wave and in punk, they had this thing where like they would do these busy beats, that were like that had toms in them,
Yeah.
throughout.
Yeah.
So it wasn't a fill. It was just like
Yeah.
so the toms were in it without like a crash at the end of it. It was just like that's what the beat was, and that's how I learned. Alan Myers from Devo played like that. So yeah, it was just part of the beat. So, but it was all, none of it was complex time signatures. They were all 4/4. So I'm really into like 4 on the floor. Just keep the kick drum going. I like the simplicity of that. But yeah, it's like busy, but those aren't fills.
Can you play to a click track in a studio? Does it throw you or does it help you?
It helps. It's frustrating. I'm like, I don't think I'm great at tempo. I think I speed up. So sometimes I have to, especially during the pandemic, there was like a lot of stuff that I had to do to a click, but now I'm used to it. So it's frustrating.
So for people who don't know, it's like that in your headphones. And on the 4th beat, you come in.
Yeah. And it sounds like this on the headphones.
Is it like looping?
It's just so that you don't lose the tempo.
Beep, boop, boop, boop.
Lederman over there at Seth.
Yes. He's like Lederman, the producer of.
Do you find yourself drumming like if you're driving a car or just drumming with your mouth?
Yeah. Or tapping away
all the time, or tapping on your keyboard fingers, just doing a beat, stuff like that.
Yeah,
me too.
Yeah. When you're driving,
I just love rhythm. Stuff. Yeah.
What about you? Who's your favorite drummer?
I don't know. I think over time there is the most mesmerizing thing I watch a couple times a year. There's so many Buddy Rich solos. There's one, I think it's in black and white, whatever. To me, his just technical skill is so mesmerizing.
Yeah.
And that solo that he does, and he did it over and over again, but it builds to a certain way, and he's got the snare going from super fast to like just down to nothing, and then right back again. And then he's doing all the fills and all the stuff. But I was listening to Fleetwood Mac the other day because I have a car stereo that blows my mind. And I just go, man, I love Mick Fleetwood. He has a sound and a pocket that's so simple, but it really weights all that brilliant melody. So I go for the band. Yeah, it's so bassy. I mean, obviously John Bonham, everyone says him. I still don't understand him. I don't know where he got his sound, like his kick drum. The value of that with his snare blows my mind. Just the sound of it and how it was mic'd.
I know. People keep trying to explain it. People keep trying to explain his style or how he got that sound, and I've heard so many different explanations. So I've heard people say, well, he's actually very jazzy and he plays lightly. It's the way he tuned his drums, and I have no idea. I'm the same. I have no idea how he got to be that way. Keith Moon, I love. Keith Moon, I could listen to forever.
Love Keith Moon. Just couldn't imagine anyone better. Who's next? The way he is so busy, but it's so part of the music. He's like a genius.
He's fun. It's fun to listen to him.
Playful and fun. Yeah.
David, I feel bad. We won't talk about drummers. I'm sorry.
Jesus.
Let's talk about Tinder and how to meet a gal. All right, David. I'm kidding.
I'm looking at his Google. Fear of heights, and he feels bad for everyone he's gone out with. I think I have one of those.
So are those your quotes?
These got quotes, yeah.
Fear of heights and feel bad for him.
Not any. I feel less that way. I mean, that quote from a while ago, so I feel less that way as time has gone on.
I feel like older. I'm not married, so I feel like I'm not nailing it somehow along the way.
That's not true. That doesn't have to be the end point, because some people do get married and it doesn't work out.
Yeah, I know.
So go easy on yourself on that.
Thank you, because it is tough. Because it is. If you really think about it, it's very hard to sync that up perfectly. It's very hard.
But I would say that's true.
Yeah.
And Dana did it right, and that's why I got to deal with Dana, because he's had the same beautiful wife forever.
I was a terrible single person. I would feel so sorry because no woman who wanted to be with me was carnal about it. If they wanted a boyfriend, he's cute, and if I was there for other purposes, but I really enjoy being married. I like having a friend. You meld into each other. We're very. She listens to the podcast. So
yeah, she's our eyes and ears.
She's my confidant like I run everything by her just because she knows me since 1979.
Oh, that's so nice.
You know, and she enjoys this podcast. And I go, really? Because I can't listen to myself bloviate. But Fred, can I? You're
bloviate.
You're an emotional character and you're a sensitive character. And I remember you, like we all are, we're clowns that are wounded, but whatever it came from. But I want to ask you first. You sent me an email after you left SNL, and you kind of said, "How do you process no longer being on the show?" Speak to that.
Yeah, because like I like the experience of being an ex-cast member because we all get to go back and do stuff. But that feeling, because I used to, or still do, admire ex-cast members. I like how they go on to do other stuff. There's something about that tradition. Whatever it is, movies, other TV shows. I was like, what is that life like? And, just seeing how Molly Shannon was afterwards and she'd keep working on stuff. And then just watching your career, same thing. I was like, what does Dana Carvey do afterwards? And then every year there's a new feeling. Like, okay, I'm still kind of there. I know a lot of those cast members. Then I'm talking about SNL.
Yeah. Right. Then, and then it just turns.
Couple more cast members. And in about 4 or 5 years, all of a sudden it's all new people. And you start to see people you do not know. And so that feeling, that's what I was asking you about. I was like, what does that look like? What does that feel like? I kind of like it, but every year that goes is just like you're further and further away, from like the actual, the blood, the meat of the show.
Well, how about hosting when you don't know anyone? It's just so much different because you go, I wish I could host when I was on the show, and you go, I know how this thing works. I know how everyone is and be perfect. First time I hosted, I knew a few people. I think second time, I didn't know one person. And then you feel scared, like, oh, I feel like a real host where, what does everyone do? Or who's that person? People talking to me. I don't know if they're a cast member. I don't know if they're a writer. I don't know if they do.
How do you handle it, Fred?
Feel alone.
When people or other performers or people come up and sort of, tell you very, very flattering, sincere things. Like you're in that mode now. I'm sure if you run into cast members now somewhere, they would be, Fred Armisen, I got to tell you that sketch you did. And it's all a surreal circle, and it's still going. And the fact that we're part of the continuum is sort of where the gratitude comes in. But how do you handle people just, Fred Armisen, get out of town?
It's so nice. And people are really kind. People are so nice about it. They say all the right things. They remember all the sketches that I love. They love doing deep cuts. Someone will mention, a dress rehearsal sketch. And, I love it because that's the way I was when, I got to meet whoever, Chevy Chase, whoever it is, that Lorraine Newman. I'm the same way. So I like that. I like that tradition. And just people are cool. I don't know what it is.
When they get excited, it's nice. Also, they're while they're talking to you, they're figuring out other things you've done or other sketches. They're like, you also did. Because when they walk away, they go, oh, I didn't even think that. But that's cool. Like I just saw your new new girlfriend sketch where you played Regina or something.
Yeah.
God damn, that was funny.
Also with James Anderson. That was like an intellectual. I just like, someone. It's that's people who don't like to do small talk. Like every conversation has got to be deep.
Yeah, exactly. I know.
See, like that premise is just so great,
and it's well done.
Rather than just church ladies out there, she's a religious nutball. No, it's fine. I mean, every era has its own style,
but just evolution,
own sensibility.
Like, once you get to SNL, even back when I was there, you're going, "Fuck, every sketch has been done." You think in your head,
right?
And then it's been 20 more years of just new sketches, but it's hard to crack the code. It's like writing a song. You go, "This is kind of like." That one they did. This is kind of, it's hard.
I know. And the game of which cast was the best. And you always, forget all that. The current cast is always the best.
I agree. And also for every cast, there's always great enough people in it that you could pick out stuff that is,
that's
fantastic.
Right.
And I still
have great writers. They still, I know Dan Bula is a writer there. That's the only one I think I know, but these guys come up, I watch the sketches, even if somehow it doesn't work, I look at the writing and go, shit, man, that was a good idea. Or they did it pretty well, or there's still good stuff. And they probably get hammered right now about it. Cause every present cast, people are mad because the old one's gone.
Yeah. But I watch all the time.
If you can do, like, you were kind of like a jazz player. I'm just using words loosely, but if you can do dry, smart stuff and make it kill with like huge laughs, that's always a real rush. There's some things are more rock and roll and more high energy and home bass and pushed, and some are kind of subtle and a little different. But when you hook the audience on SNL on one of those, it's really fun. I got it with Carson. It was a very, for my part in that sketch, was very dry. Did you have some favorites? Kind of, it's hard to ask people their favorites.
No, that's okay. I don't mind. Like
the way you envisioned it and the way it turned out. Like
I think because the thing is, like, as much as I could take credit for it, I got to give credit to Lorne. That's why it's easy to talk about.
We do too.
He's the guy who, on paper, it looks like it's not going to work. And he's the guy who goes, let's put it on and see if it's going to work out. And for me, it was like this comedian I used to do on Update who had no punchlines. Like, he just would open up a newspaper and just point out the headline.
Can you do that on command? Could you do 10 seconds of it?
It's just kind of like, you pick up the New York Times.
He interrupts himself.
Yeah. And it's just him going like, look at this. The Congress is going to donate, it's going to have like $8 billion for the Ukraine. You can't. What? You can't. There's no, on any other day, if any of us, and he just keeps going until there's no, there's no punchline. It's just pointing things out and being outraged.
It's really funny.
Then another headline. Anyway, it sounds like I don't mean to pat myself on the back about it. I feel bad.
You gotta like some of them. Come on.
No, that's a skilled thing. If you try to do it yourself, it's difficult. It's
if
kind of
you can get a weird
skillful
bit like that and get it to work, it's fucking huge victory.
And the fact that they put it on Update, I just feel like there's no jokes in it, and then and
but we do give Lorne credit for stuff like you just said that he will go for the really weird dry things. Sometimes he likes the rock and roll things. He likes a mix. He likes big laughs, but he also, let's just see if it works. Everyone has a Lorne impression officially. What's your take?
I like doing the one. I like doing the one of the warm greeting. So like if everyone comes out to dinner, there's this thing that he does where he sort of is super polite, and if he saw you, he'd say like, "Hello, Dana. Hello, David." Like a very warm. I like that.
That's
version
a frequency I've not heard. That's Lorne. No, everyone always is doing this. No. That's an exaggeration of Lorne backpedaling because you misunderstood what he was saying.
Yeah.
All I'm saying is that this and that.
Yeah.
Oh, you mean we shouldn't put it on? No. Don't misunderstand me. No.
And then you get them back. And then you get them back.
But you can't imagine SNL without Lorne. No. I just think he's he's obviously the linchpin sensibility-wise. I think the Ivy League guys come in and they respect his intellect. They respect him as a smart person.
Yeah.
And he has that. And he also likes, stand-ups that kind of shoot for the fences.
Yeah.
Before we go, I know we don't have to wrap up because I'm having so much fun, but I always like to ask our guests 3 things.
Sure.
I like to put I'd like to put you at 8, 10, 11 years of age. So a toy, and if you don't have to answer, you don't have a toy that you remember that you really liked as a kid, a bicycle that you might have got, and any music or television show or film that really blew your mind. In those formative years.
So you're saying 8? Well, what grade is that?
Well, I always say 5 to 12 is the formative years.
So like kids, like kids, being a little kid.
Yeah, I had Rock'em Sock'em Robots to get you started. That they didn't last long, but that really blew my mind. Rock'em Sock'em Robots.
I would say I think I really liked. I had like $6 Million Man action figure.
Yeah,
and it had
there you go.
It had so many details to it. Like you could add so much to it.
Yeah.
Oh, like you put on little helmets. And stuff.
Yeah, little helmets.
It's like
and then like
and the eye.
And the eye. You know exactly what I'm talking about. The eye, you could look through the eye and it sort of like blinked. It had like it didn't have a light, but like a sort of lens. And then if you rolled off his skin, off of his left arm, there's the mechanics of his bionic arm.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
it was really cool.
And you were like,
it
10,
took a lot
probably.
of imagination because it looks cool, but it doesn't really do much. So you've got to kind of make your own scenarios in your head, which is good.
Would you put it in dirt and stuff and make a little trench?
Or it would be like a little, I don't know, like a rocket ship or some rocket he was in, I don't know.
Yeah, okay.
Some vehicle of some kind. So there were a lot of things you could get for it that I really liked. Bicycle, I had like I'm thinking of the word Apollo. I had an Apollo something, like a yellow one with like a banana seat.
Seat, yeah.
I grew up in the suburbs of New York, and I remember endlessly riding with my friends. And I was really young, but there was no sense of like, hey, be careful.
None.
Tell us where it was just
not a helmet in sight.
Nothing.
No
we could
helmet.
have gone, main streets like with traffic, and me and my friends would just ride around and forever. All afternoon.
Not even be careful. Nothing.
Oh,
Nothing.
Yeah, and wipeouts, you just had to get home like squeak, squeak, squeak. Your legs bleeding.
Yeah.
Wasn't, if you can look back at it in a sense memory way, when you had I had a Stingray, kind of a knockoff, but you get on your bike and Saturday morning and you start going and the wind in your hair and you're pedaling this bike. And then if you go shoot hoops or run around a park or a school, your bike's just tilted over and you go and you get your bike with your friends. It's just sort of magic.
Yeah.
Yeah. So and the aimlessness of it, like also being with your friends and you're just,
going up hills and yeah.
That's it. Just like laughing with them.
When it's not a school day and you've got the whole day to do anything.
So it's getting dark. I remember the getting dark part. That's kind of like, all of a sudden it's like there's no lights and your friends look different in the light. You got
to get home. You're supposed to get home and it's getting darker and darker. Yeah.
The best. It's funny that there's dirt involved. I feel like there's a lot of dirt, like fields.
Dirt
and
a park where there was mud. Someone made a little dirt jump.
I could do a wheelie. I could do a wheelie for like a quarter mile. I had a
if you had that like kind of a very light chain.
I had a great
heavy back.
I had a
tire.
BMX bike. So once I got up, I was a skateboarder too. I don't know if that helped, but I could do a goddamn wheelie, and I thought I was King Cock. I had medium dick energy.
King Cock, was that a doll that you had too and when you were 10? Like
King Cock. That would have been a great doll.
So Fred, also just I like either TV shows or movies that blew your mind between ages 8 and 12, whatever.
I don't know if this was 8 and 12. I think it might be. It might be.
It could be 13. There's no hard. This is just a conversation starter.
For some reason, Planet of the Apes jumps out at me as like of like the idea that like I thought about Planet of the Apes all the time. So there was the movie, but there was still this sort of still like in my head. I'd be like, wow, the Statue of Liberty, and they took over, and there were these intelligent
dude. When you saw the Statue of Liberty at the end, were you like, what the? That was unreal. I was like this. No way! Where are they?
I know. Rod Serling, I guess, came up with that. Did you notice after the spaceship crashed that they walked across the desert for like 20 minutes having philosophical arguments? Charlton Heston and the two astronauts, and then they reveal the monkeys riding horses.
Yeah, with the nets, and they're all grabbing
with
them
the nets and the music.
Yeah,
that was Bill Hader, your bandmate. He mentioned his one was Taxi Driver.
What?
As the movie that blew his mind. He saw it when he was young. I mean,
I did not.
Very dark. No, I saw it.
No,
when I was a grown up.
I was a grown up already.
I wouldn't understand how crazy that was. I didn't. It made me scared or sad or something.
Yeah,
Bill would have been like 10 years old or something. But he always,
I was like powder, I'm like very sensitive, so I couldn't handle those movies.
Yeah, I saw Taxi Driver. I can't blew my mind. No,
that's Bill Hader.
Yeah,
I know.
No, I don't know.
His voice is so interesting, and then he went into a Daniel Day-Lewis in. There Will Be Blood. His voice was so transformed because his speaking voice, wouldn't imagine he'd have such a range that he has.
Yeah, because he goes kind of like, it's really bassy.
Hey, how are you? And
this is my son and partner HW.
It's not enough that I shoot. But now what about
what do you think goes on in Bill's skull? Like why can he do that? Like why can he do that with his voice? that he can go that deep, but he
Mhm.
talks up here.
Yeah. That's unique. I think that's kind of unique.
That's a real physical. It's like it's talent, but there's something physical going on.
Like something's wrong with him. Yeah.
Yeah,
because he can go into Howard Stern like really deep. Yeah, like he goes really basic.
I found that really hard, and I found which a guy you did too, Obama, difficult for a long time
Obama
because of the basiness. But I finally got it. That's what we got to do. The thing about Obama, you got to stay calm. We're going to be fine. There's no reason to panic. No one's got to do a thing. So I finally do them now, and now I feel like I got him. But back in the day, it was like so down here.
We didn't know him as well, or I guess.
No, when I first 4 years, I did him. Didn't work at all. Even his second term, a little more. But I can do him now, and everyone. Yeah. He's successful. We love him. He's no drama Obama. So he's just, to me, he's just the coolest guy. That's what he was.
Save the drama for Obama.
Did you watch any for music? Since you're a musician, one last question: what was your first like record you bought or the love?
Like, you mean as a little kid?
As a little kid, I bought. Do you want to know a secret? As a 45 in
you
1960.
Did?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I Want to Hold Your Hand was sold out. Yeah, it was. Do you want to know a secret? And I don't know if it was Please Please Me. I don't know. Anyway, 45.
Please,
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Wait.
Listen. Do you want to know a secret?
Wait, where did you grow up?
I from Montana, but I grew up in the peninsula, San Carlos, 20 miles south of San Francisco. And the Beatles came on Ed Sullivan, and I went down to this little record store. I must have stole some quarters from my dad's pants. Right? I don't know where I got. I think it was 50 cents for a 45. And I remember I was disappointed because I want to hold your hand, and I saw her standing there. But I had 3 older brothers, so they probably had them already. I don't know why.
I just picture you. For you, I picture you buying LPs for some reason.
Later, yeah. In the very beginning, we were buying both, but all of us were buying albums later, and my brothers were. They were older than me. So, but in the beginning, it was a 45.
Wow,
kind of hip. I know. I'm so old, Fred. I'm really.
Fred, you wouldn't believe it, Fred.
I go way back. Don't let this face fool you.
Wow. So you were getting 45s.
In early days, and I bought the Beach Boy album with my brother, and we had a band called the Surfers, and my kick drum was a clothes hamper, and my Hardy Boys book was my snare drum, and I stole drumsticks from Mickey Hart's drum store, the guy who was in the Grateful Dead.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Welcome to my podcast.
Yeah.
But did you get? What's your first drum set, by the way?
Like a weird mix. I think a Japanese made. Sort of, I think it was like a knockoff of a Gretsch. Mm-hmm. So it had that sort of, pearl inlay to it, but it was like fake and cheap. But it was great. I loved it. I loved my kit. It was like we got it used. My dad got it for me. And first record, I think my parents got me The Candyman by Sammy Davis Jr.
Great. Oh, really? Oh,
yeah. That's like the first memory of like. I mean, I think I was really little, but
the
I think
Candyman.
That's a great one, though.
Yeah,
it
is great. Yeah.
Oh yeah, Sammy Davis was genius. There's a documentary on him. Such a great drummer and great tap dancer. Talk about
entertainer,
rhythm.
And then my parents would get me Beatles albums during the 70s. Like they were already broken up, but then I'd get solo albums and stuff like that. I remember
which one rocked your world?
Ram.
Yeah,
Paul McCartney.
Ram.
Ram that's my favorite album ever.
Really?
That's a masterpiece.
What
I love that album.
Yeah, it is brilliant. That is probably his best solo.
McCartney?
I think he had gems on every album.
I don't even know Ram, and I love McCartney. That's how much.
It's this 1971 album that blew my mind. I still listen to it. It's like a weird, like countryish hippie, kind of it's an experimental album, I would say. I don't know.
He won't play those on his tour, right?
No,
I'm shy about it.
I don't think I've ever heard one song from that album.
Are you familiar with Arrow Right Through Me from Back to the Egg?
I think that's.
Ooh,
I think. It's one of his best songs because that horn part,
cool.
the horn part at the end is insane. Wow,
this is making my day, Fred.
Because it turns around weird, like it doesn't land on the.
Yeah,
arrow through me. God, it's so good.
Oh, God, Fred, you made my day. Someone else knows Back to the Egg and Arrow right through me.
Come on.
Jeez, that's awesome. This is the greatest podcast ever. Anyway, Fred, we love you. We just say that now. I'm old enough now. I just say I love you to grown men.
I love the both of you. I admire the both of you. I look up to both of you, and I love hanging out with you guys. And
thank you for chatting, buddy. It's a lot of laughs.
And let's have a lazy dinner one of these nights in LA somewhere.
Yes.
We'll run into you at Largo.
I feel like both of you, I feel like we do run into each other once in a while.
I bet we get along.
Through Largo and this sushi restaurant we go to right near Largo.
I like
that's
you
very
never
dark
say
and
it.
quiet.
It doesn't matter.
Well, I don't know if I'm supposed to say it. There's no one there. If you go with Sandler or Conan, there's nobody on the street with cameras.
Yeah.
It's just very
it's
mellow. Good. Great place to have a conversation and hang out. So
Fred will go and Dana will buy.
Okay. Please do.
Ooh, baby.
Thank you, Fred.
I love it.
And you did the horn part at the end. Anyway.
I love that part. Yeah.
So much fun, Fred.
Thanks for asking me to do this.
This was awesome.
All right.
Likewise.
Love you.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Hey, what's up, flies? What's up, fleas? What's up, people that listen? We want to hear from you and your dumb questions.
Questions, ask us anything. Anything you want.
You can email us at flyonthewall@cadence13.com.
This is from Chris Height. Question for us. Thank you, Chris. If an SNL bit is cut from the show or is passed up, can you resubmit it the next week?
This is a good question because this, thank you, Chris. You know what it is? The truth is, you've got to be careful when you submit because if it doesn't get on, it's got a stink on it. And it just loses about 30% of its punch for the next time because a resubmit, what they call it, are you resubmitting this? It's already got a negative connotation. I did receptionist. I don't think it got on. Oh, because David Bowie.
Oh, right. Yeah.
And so I resubmitted it, but got it on with MC Hammer, and then I got on with Roseanne. But
he's kind of talking about, did you get cut from the show or just didn't get it on?
No, it got laughs. Actually, it was different. It got on and made it through read-through, and then David Bowie wanted to switch parts with me. And that's when I called think I can, and then it dropped.
Yeah.
Rough. So I
ground control to Mr. Spade.
called me in the hotel room. I called him.
These are the things of SNL, honestly. Just when I hear David, he taught me how to do this dance move one night in New York with Dennis and John Bowie.
Oh, right.
He is, I don't know. I say no one cooler than David Bowie was.
Fucking hey, what a stud.
Nobody cool. Just such an artist.
And was pretty fucking cool, dude. Like, gave everyone
very
a minute.
Nice and charming.
Liked comedy.
Oh, yeah.
Was at my Young Comedian special. Not because of me, but he was in the audience.
Really? That would make me nervous.
Is that fucking bananas?
Gandhi's in the second row. How do you feel about that?
He's like, I like that. Rob Schneider. Schneider was on it with me. Drake Sather, Jan Karam. We had a fucking big Stoller. We had a great run there with Dennis hosting. This next fucking kid.
Schneider.
What am I, Glico? Dennis was the host. And Bowie's
okay,
in the
this
crowd.
next guy, okay.
And Schneider.
Some people think he's funny. Let's see if it's true or not.
This ties into Schneider. He was there. We got the HBO special that got seen by Lauren's office.
If something's cut from a show and you resubmit it, change it or recast it to give it. If a new host comes in, I think Cowbell might have been cut or didn't make it until Walken came and made history. I got it. A fever. More Cowbell.
That's probably a top 10 sketch.
Yeah, I think, that's...
and so, resubmissions are tough, but eventually, hopefully they get... I actually wrote in when Seinfeld's the host, McCartney coming in as a receptionist show, and it didn't get on, so they didn't even give it to him. You know what I mean? It has to get on first, then they go to him and say, will you do it? But it didn't get on. So you guys, thank you for your questions. This has been a podcast presentation of Cadence 13. Please listen, then rate, review, and follow all episodes. Available now for free wherever you get your podcast.
No joke, folks. Fly on the Wall has been a presentation of Cadence 13, executive produced by Dana Carvey and David Spade, Chris Corcoran of Cadence 13, and Charlie Finan of Brillstein Entertainment.
The show's lead producer is Greg Holtzman, with production and engineering support from Serena Regan and Chris Basil of Cadence 13. Hey guys, it's Spadely Spadoodle here, and just want to give you a heads up. The podcast, we have Fred Wolf today, an old buddy of ours, and just wanted to say that, some of these are recorded ahead of time, often years. So if we have like Michael Jackson on, he's talking about the Thriller album coming out, that was pre-recorded. So if you hear that one. But Dana's obviously going through something semi-unimaginable right now, and I can't even put it into words. So, Dana's one of my best buds, and it's hard to watch this, and his kid, Dex, is what a great kid. I don't want to get into all that. I'll let Dana talk at some point about it. I just want to say that this was already recorded, and for the rest of this year, we pre-recorded a few, and then we're going to do a few best of. But you've got some great ones coming up, including the unbelievable Dan Aykroyd that we did right before. That was the last we did. It was great. Danny Aykroyd is one of my favorites of all time, and he got to sit in person with us. Anyway, and of course, Dana really, really appreciates the outpouring from every possible angle of people. I mean, just the amount I got just to relate to him, and everyone, I think, understands how difficult and whatever. It's hard to even talk about. Okay, so let's have some fun. And I know it's almost impossible, but we had a good time with Fred. I don't want this to reflect on Fred. He's a great guy. And please have a good time with this one. Freddie's an old buddy, wrote Tommy Boy.
David, who's our guest this week?
Dana, Fred Wolf. Fred Wolf. Freddie Wolf is a old dear friend of mine that's stand-up. I think he got me, he tried to get me out of the Improv in San Diego, maybe, or he always tried to get me on because he thought I was funny when he saw me at Finney Bones in Arizona. Mm-hmm. So I always owed him for that. He was always cheerleader for me, co-wrote stuff with me. Dickie Roberts, Joe Dirt.
Was at one point
Tommy Boy,
a head writer of Saturday Night Live.
Yeah, he wrote Black Sheep.
Tommy Boy. He's
what's one with Anna Faris? House Bunny. He directed House Bunny.
Writer, director.
And we got to sit with him. I've known him forever, and very funny, very inside stories about all the above. He knew Farley well. He knew everybody. He was
Sandler,
there for
all of us.
Yeah. And so we cracked up. And I think you're going to like him, and you're going to like to hear what he has to say. Here he is, Fred Wolf.
Fred Wolf.
I actually was thinking about that. There is a certain, like, when friendships kind of run over where it's like, I don't respect the process because you guys are so cool and my friends forever, but then you guys are steaming mad. Yeah. I totally get it. I think this is my first time, by the way, ever using Zoom with a microphone and earbuds. I shouldn't say that probably, right? No, I should sound more professional.
No, people
No, we've had issues with everybody. I won't even mention the guests we've had that were inept. So you're a winner because sometimes it's been 20 minutes, 25 with Wi-Fi issues and stuff.
You're just saying that.
No, I have notes. I was going to lead off with Wi-Fi issues.
That was your first question?
With Fred Wolf, I go Wi-Fi issues first 20 minutes. Do you think was I overloading it? Because I've run out of topics.
You already ran out.
This is our 700th. This is our 711th episode today. And I'm running out of topics.
Everybody's talking about the show, and now I'm supposed to say something like that. I know, but it's actually the truth. Everybody, and there's
Thank
all these friends, and
good to hear.
Well, it's really true though. I'm not lying.
And that's in the Montana area and also the Carmel area. They're talking about. I hope
that's right. So we're covering Duo State area, also through Idaho, all through there too.
We're covering that too.
Yeah, the Tri-Cities.
Dana goes up there and burns $100 bills every year for a couple of weeks.
I just look out at Montana Freeman. I go to their cabins. I talk them down. I go, no, the reset's not happening yet. So,
reset.
it's a beautiful, the great reset, Why would you have a job when a guy opens jars of pickles on Instagram? He's doing 7 figures large. Okay, today we're going to do
Dana,
a large
do you know
dill pickle. We're going to open it.
Oh, that's YouTube?
Yes, David.
Dana, did you know that there's a girl? Now, you know about OnlyFans. I think you and Fred do. But there's a girl that farts in a jar. Heather, do you know this? She farts in a jar and she makes about $100,000 a year and she sells it.
Yeah.
I was about to say she farts in a jar. That's not the crazy part. That's easy. But she sells it and she has a big market. And now, I don't want to say this part, it's gross, but she's selling boob sweat. I'm like, where do you go from farts in a jar? Boob sweat, I guess, right directly across.
My only question is, what's the weird part of this story?
And I look I look back and behind me he's got 100 jars. I go, Dana, what's in there? So they're like, the jars are inside the house. That means Dana collects them. All right,
now give me a check.
Let's ask Fred about SNL.
Oh, let me just say one thing really quick is I was doing sorry. I'm trying to I'm so damn excited. But I was doing editing House Bunny, and Covert and those guys came in and they said, you got to see this. This is the craziest video we've ever seen. And I go, I'm tough. I can see it. They go, no, you're going to throw up. I've been throwing up for any reason since I was 5 years old. And so I watch it, and it's 2 girls in a cup. I don't know if you guys know this one. Mm-hmm. It's like the sickest, craziest thing ever.
Do I want to know it?
Oh, no, Dana, you don't know it?
Okay. Can you... Well, if you know it, you can't unknow it?
Yeah.
That's one of those things. Yeah.
All
Sounds like Davey, you know what it is?
Yeah.
Okay. So the thing is it made me sick, made me ill, maybe depressed for mankind, just really ill.
Well, what will it do to our listeners?
How do you explain your boner you had during watching it?
Huge boner, which is great because I never get to 2, but I did. So I'm watching it. I'm like sick. And I'm like, I'm in my 30s, look like 20s. And meanwhile, my daughter's 12-year-old friends have all seen it on the internet. They've all watched it. About half the class of a class of 20 have seen that thing at that young age. Tell me that's not
so
just
10
turning
people.
this on. Oh, we're just going. This nation.
The only part of that story is bullshit is you didn't look 20 when you were 30. There's no way.
Oh, shit. The youngest guy really in the biz. Actually, you 2 guys are
kidding.
Literally the youngest looking guys in the biz. You always have been. And that's no bullshit. Dana, okay, the first time I saw Dana was at the last stop in Newport Beach, and he killed. And I go, he looks young. That's the thing that made me the maddest.
Yeah.
And young for his age.
Well, but I was young.
Yeah.
Well, you were.
It's not hard to look young in your 20s.
Yeah, but you look like you're in your teens.
Yeah.
And then Davey, I saw him in Phoenix first time ever. I was probably his 5th time on stage, young. And I thought, okay, I hate them already.
Yeah.
But then they turned out to be kind of funny.
Fred, did we meet that night or you just saw me?
We talked. So you did a set, I think about 5 minutes or something like that.
Yeah.
At Finny Bones.
Oh, yeah.
And then I waited for you to come off stage, and there's like a little green room there. I go, hey, Dave Spade, good set. And all that stuff. Yeah, you're funny and all that sort of stuff. And then I took a shot and I go, man, I think you really got something. I think you really got a future in this comedy. Are you serious about it? And you said, yeah. And so I called the San Diego Improv, our buddy Mark Anderson down there.
Oh, you got me in there.
Yeah, I said, hey, there's this kid. He's a young pup.
I was like 19.
And then you went there.
Jesus, out of the blocks fast.
But so were you, Dana, right? So, by the way, I had sent Dana
like
photos
David.
of Missoula, Montana. I was up there like 4 months. Just got back.
Where I was born.
Yeah. And I always send you photos. So, once every couple of weeks, I send you a photo. And I always expect you to say, oh, that's the corner of such and such. But you never have. And so
I'm not that involved. I know where the Big Dipper is and the M on the mountain from University of Montana.
The Dipper, the ice cream place, right?
Parents went to school there. Brother went to school there. Doddle ding, doddle doon.
I know where the Big Dipper is in the sky, kind of.
So what was really, no, Fred, go back. So you see Spade, he's 19. He looks like a fetus with shoes. He's like really young looking. Did he always have kind of a voice? Because you're the first person who just randomly said to me in conversation, and Davey's always had that voice. So Spade has a very cool, distinct voice. I still haven't learned it, but by the time we come back for season 2, I will have mastered it. I just do the sound effect, David, when he does it. He doesn't do very much. But what did he have a voice then, or did his voice kind of richen as he got, or did he still have kind of what this timbre he has? It's very potent at 19.
Well, by the way, I love those words, and those are good words. Seriously, the timbre and all that stuff. Hollywood never knew what to call it. They called it. When someone has it. Mm-hmm. And I think that's part of the package when there's a voice and there's a cadence or something that's natural. You can't teach it. And yes, that was the thing that stood out because his jokes were awful. You know how they are, Dana, right? Come on.
Yeah. Right. He rides on his charm and his timing. But the material is terrible.
It's so cute. He's so cute. He thinks they're funny. No, but no, and then he did Tom Petty and all that stuff, and that killed the audience.
Oh, the Tom Petty.
Yes,
yep.
Yeah.
I don't understand the world today.
And David was never sweaty. He was always cool, on his heels a little bit.
Very true.
I love on his heels. That's another good term.
Yeah. I'm Irish, so I got all these colloquial expressions, but he was always kind of cool and always made it look effortless. So that was interesting. Was I a dick when you first met me? Was I cocky back then in 83?
No, so this is true. It's hard to say like compliments to people on their face, on their show, where of course you'd say positive stuff, but
we deal with it.
Totally okay. I just mean I look like such a kid, but it's so true. It's like, no, at the last stop, I was a house MC about twice a week. I'd go down there. It's like an hour drive down from LA, but we went on a stage time. And then Dana, you were on stage, 4 reels, just fucking blew the roof off. It was insane. You did chopping broccoli and that stuff.
Broccoli was there always.
It keeps appearing, that fucking chopping
that
broccoli.
Fucking thing we get.
That I'm telling you, it's moved to the top of the resume because everyone remembers chopping, even if it's a throwaway in the middle of your act. By the way, Fred, I've never seen Dana not kill. I'm not even joking. Even if he's doing 5 guest spot, anything, Kimmel. Always go ahead.
Boom.
We'll see. We'll see.
There was one.
But yeah, I had broccoli.
Chopping broccoli. And then, first of all, you were nice, but I do want to jump ahead to Dana always killing us that I opened for him one time. I mean, I've opened for him a few times. And I remember one time up in Ventura, it was, I think. And Dana, I destroyed. I blew the roof off. I really did. And I don't usually.
Yes, I remember that.
And then I
remember you had a great set. Yeah.
I had a good set. And in my head, I swear to God, I would never, ever think, oh, that guy can't follow me like an asshole. But I was thinking, boy, I wonder if Dana's going to have a tough time. And I feel bad for him because he said, come on and do some time. But the laughs were so long. You went on there and I swear to God, it was like twice my set. It was like fucking from like first 10 seconds. First of all, they're happy to see you. And secondly, everything you said was like pure destruction. And I thought, this is insane.
I better get back into stand-up.
Maybe.
That's the message. I am.
Hey guys, it's Spadoodle. You can always go to davidspade.com to look at my tour dates because I bless a lot of cities in America with my hilarious stand-up act. Or you could not go to it and get on my enemy list. Up to you.
So let's talk about your journey. We do like to talk about ourselves.
No.
All right, back to David.
No. But Dana, Fred started, he had a very interesting beginning. You were already on the show. You met him. I had met him and knew him a little better than you. I think Rob and I think I threw in his name to Downey. I think Rob, maybe Sandler. Is that correct, Fred, so far?
Yeah.
You can take it from there.
Yeah, I was kind of lucky that did a club in Sacramento. And the club across town, Rob Schneider was there. And he came out to see my set. I did 25 minutes or so. And then afterwards we were talking, and this is way before any of us kind of clicked. And he just said, oh, you're funny. And then years later, I knew you and I knew Adam, and you guys got on the show, and Dana was the king of the world there. And you guys said, hey, he might want to write on the show. It might be good to have you out here. It might be fun. And so this is going to sound like a huge, like this Fred Wolf show here, but I will say,
It is the Fred Wolf Show.
Well, I didn't go. Yeah,
You're our guest.
I'm
ahead.
so careful not to horn in on your guys' glory here, but I wrote a sketch and I'd never written one before. I'd written jokes and all that kind of stuff, but a sketch was new to me. And so I was watching a show and I go, oh, okay, this is how you write a sketch. So I wrote one out. This is actually the long journey of this. And Dave kind of knows the story, but I wrote it and I thought, hey, I think this is pretty good, this sketch here. It was called the Mr. Belvedere Fan Club, And so I sent it out to Davey and Adam and Rob, and they got it to Jim Downey, and I heard about this Jim Downey. Oh God, Jim Downey, he's the man. Well, yes, exactly. He was the answer to a Jeopardy question a couple months ago, by the way.
Ooh.
Yeah. And I knew the answer right away. And so I should have been on the show. I would have won.
Who does Fred Wolf have a crush on? You're like, this cannot be Jim Downey.
Yeah, you're not supposed to say that. You got to kind of play hard to get. I got to play coy around Jim. No, so I sent it out to Jim, and then he read it, and he said, apparently, he said, he didn't really talk to me. He said, yeah, okay, let's have him come out and do a 2 weeks a guest shot. It was like some sort of setup they had where you can do
something SNL does where they bring you out for 2 weeks. They bring a writer in to see if they have any game.
Tryout.
Yeah, a tryout. Yeah. And I guess it's just to kind of get to know, who you are and so forth, but they liked the sketch enough to bring me out. So they did, they flew me out. And then, so I said, oh, okay, they write sketches. They do them on read through on Wednesday. Okay, I see. Yeah, we'll write one of those up. I go, man, how do I do this really fast? I wonder if I could put the Mr. Belvedere sketch in. And so Jim Downey said, yes. Like the third word he ever said to me in his life. Yeah, go ahead. So that's 5 words. And so I go, okay. So Seinfeld was the host my first time out. And I kind of knew him. So I went up to him and I said, hey, I might put the sketch in. This is it. He read it, standing there. I'm standing there with him. He's real silent. Didn't laugh out loud once. And then he gets done reading. He says, it's not my thing, man. A little too dark. I'll read it at the table if you want, but I won't want this on this show. And my heart was like just jumped on my throat, like on the floor, wanted to pick up my heart. I'm like devastated that he didn't like it. And also I wasn't going to have a sketch on even in the read through. So
by the way, so you know what? You were smart. You didn't put it in read through with a stink on it like that.
Thank you. Thanks for saying that, Davey. I swear, because I probably asked you, like, what should I do here or whatever. But that was my inclination too, is to not sort of give away some of the laughs if there were going to be any laughs.
Yep.
So I held it back. And then the next week, it almost feels providential, is Tom Hanks was the host. I'd never met him, of course. He looked at me like it was like
most enthusiastic host in history.
Like literally, right?
Tom Hanks.
Like something's wrong with him almost. Yeah. He's actually nice to me. Like the lowest man in the totem pole, he actually called me by my first name. He thought my first name was dumbass, but whatever. So he read it and he said, oh, I think it was funny. This is funny. Let's see how it goes at the read through. So we did. And it crushed. Like it blew the roof off. And Dana, you're used to killing. I get it. And Davey, you've killed this. I wasn't used to this kind of thing. And
what a rush.
It was like probably the best rush of laughs.
Could you just quickly give us, just for our college listeners, like, what do you mean, Mr. Belvedere? Like, was that based on the TV show? And what was the gist of that sketch? Just so because I don't remember, but I remember the name of the sketch.
You might have been gone.
I don't remember exactly. I might have been gone. Was I there?
No, you were gone. Yeah, you were gone because
Seinfeld hosted once when I was there, so it must have been his second time.
Okay, yeah, that sounds right.
So what's the gist of it?
Yeah, so there was a TV show called the Mr. Belvedere, I think. Yeah, and he played like a nanny. And the thrust of the premise of this sketch was that he had a fan club, and they were all batshit crazy. By the way, how's swearing on this show?
Fine.
You can say anything you
want.
He
was sort of a heavy set, innocuous show that wasn't a huge hit, but it was sort of middle of the road. That was part of the funniness, right? That he wasn't some kind
of corny
star.
And sweet. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
It was like Mr. Belding or something. You know what I mean? Not even as popular.
Yeah.
And his fans were batshit crazy.
They were like crazy. Dave's right. They over someone that no one really pays much attention to, but they would have, and Tom Hanks would moderate the fan club, and they would do exercises like, okay, next up, we have to figure out if we ever see Mr. Belvedere in real life, how do we act around him?
I see. Okay.
And they all talk themselves into, okay, we do not go crazy. We do not try to like cut his hair off, save his hair for the rest of our lives. And it was, it was pretty funny. It was a little dark because, one of the things was Phil Hartman saying, I will not try to tear the flesh, wear the flesh, be born into new worlds where his flesh becomes my key.
Satanic.
And it's like dark and nuts and crazy. And I thought, okay, this might get a few laughs. It did. It just blew the roof off, which again, the rush of that, we've all done.
Who were the fan freaks? Did you have Rob in there or Dave or Sandler? Who were the fan freaks besides Phil?
So it was a full cast sketch, which apparently everyone said
those are great. Yeah.
Everybody was in it.
Because you have an A team of really funny people, so I guess everybody probably crushed on when it was their turn.
Yeah, right. You give everyone a question or an answer, and they get to go score one line or whatever. It's great.
Right. And sometimes they'll put up with it too. Like the giant stars like Dana and those, they might not want to do one line, but this was sort of funny. So like
for you, I would have.
Thank you. See, he's so cool. And it was a full sketch. And then you're right. They all got to sort of hit a little bit. Farley had something funny to do. And then of course, they all make it funnier. What's that?
Farley's nickname was Surefire.
Yeah,
Surefire. Yeah.
Jesus.
Well, he just had a gear and had a thing he did that like you can't.
He will find a voice or a movement. Just when they go, when Seinfeld was a teacher and we were all in the class, we were dumb, and he goes, I'm going to ask you one question, and Farley sticks his hand up and he goes, and it's not. Can you go to the bathroom? And then he slowly pulls his hand down, but he doesn't. He does it in these three jerky movements where you're like, all you had to do is put your hand down, but he does it in such a weird way that it gets a huge laugh, and you go, God damn.
That's kind of what I'm talking about. Is like the thing that people have where you can't teach it. There's no way you can say, "Oh, when you put your hand down,
no,
do it like a 3-step process." Yeah, it just is natural.
He made it look like a guy just having fun, but he was extremely bright about that and very clever with the use of his body. I remember Mike Myers saying once in Second City, he could just destroy with his character for like a half hour, and then Chris would just kind of lower his chin or do something with his body, and it was just game over. The entire thing was
so true.
Was destroyed. It's like, redo like maybe a skipper from Gilligan's Island,
well,
or whatever his move. It was
not to
over.
Go back to Farley, but Fred, I don't want to not talk about Mr. Belvedere, but first of all, Hanks is very cool for having a sort of dark sketch and wanting to do it because he could have killed it. But even though it did well, sometimes they go, it's not for me. But that he's cool that way. And the sketch killed on the air. I wanted to say when you did, there was 2 Farley ones you did. I think you wrote Polar Bear maybe, and then you wrote Falls in the Ice Hole. What was?
Yes, Little Women.
It was Little Women. That was it. Yeah. I was in that. I think it was me and David Hyde Pierce maybe. Or maybe it was him.
It was David Hyde Pierce. Yeah,
it was him, not me. I thought he was me, and but it was like everyone's acting all hoofy doofy from Little Women, and Farley starts out that way,
right? Your plum pudding is ever so scrumptious. That sort of talk. And as soon as he falls to the ice, he's like, "Whoa, pull me out of here, you fucking whore!"
Yeah, you bitch. What are you looking at? Stop with your.
Oh,
yeah, remember that?
See, that's. Yeah, that's a great use of Farley.
And he can yell. If he could swear, it would be a whole nother dimension because his voice, when it's booming like that.
Yeah.
Ian, Max, and Graham gave me this. They were all making fun of me because every sketch I would write in Farley yelling. And
all caps.
Ian, Max, and Graham sent me this little graph and it said like Fred Wolf writing for SNL. And it had like these 3 gauges. One, Farley star. And then the one gauge set on soft voice, medium voice, screaming, and the dial set on screaming.
Yeah.
And the second one was moist, slightly wet, soaking wet, screaming. And
anyway. even when so the audience knows Fred wrote a ton of movies that I was in, also like Tommy Boy and Black Sheep, Dickie Roberts.
Yeah, let's make sure that
with Farley and those, sometimes he would yell and you'd put it in all caps. I'm like, Fred, do we need to bother typing in all caps here? I think he falls down the hill for 3 minutes or 8 minutes and goes, "Aye!" He's screaming. It's like, don't worry, he'll take care of that part.
Yeah,
that was one of his.
Yeah, aye, 18 I's, 5 E's.
As if he doesn't know. Actually, I do. I actually wanted to say something about that too. But should I just do the? I just wanted to kind of say the finale of Belvedere because I want to just say how well, what a loser I am.
Well, that's like your firstborn or something. I mean, that is your first deal. Killer sketch on SNL. That's like the confidence of that. But
it was pretty cool. And by the way, I love talking about Farley. So here I am saying like, oh, no, let's do it my way here, this show here. But I just want to finish up with the
We'll get to more Chris and the movies you did with Chris and David in a second.
Yeah,
for sure.
It's about.
But I'm in a Belvedere state of mind.
Oh yeah, we're all back now. Here we are, back in Belvedere.
Okay. Slipped into a little Dennis Miller there. We're doing 12 minutes on the Belvedere.
Freddie Wolf.
That's a good.
Freddie Wolf.
That's a good podcast. Is the fly still on the wall? Or
Fly fucking just zonked out. Fly just blew his fucking brains out, guy.
Can't do Dennis enough. Love his attitude, the character of Dennis as well. So what happened with Belvedere before we get lost?
So we do the Belvedere, and then the musical guest. Don't worry, this goes wrong. This goes horribly wrong. So let me puff myself up for a second here.
I did not want a happy ending. Thank God. Go ahead.
Yes, Jesus, yes, I know. We're all sweating. Is he actually going to say something happy? But no. So it was Bruce Springsteen was a musical guest, and I idolized the dude.
Wow.
I had 3 posters on my wall. Every word of Darkness on the Edge of Town, all that. And there he was. He's out there while Hanks and them are doing my sketch. And he's out there. And I don't know, should I watch my sketch, which is the coolest things ever happened in my life? Or should I watch Springsteen, like just pretending to warm up his guitar? Because he's standing there getting ready to do his song. And I go, I'm going for Springsteen. So I was just watching him in the dark there. You know how they have the lights off.
On the music while he's getting ready, but he's in the dark.
Exactly.
Not to pull focus.
His strap.
Exactly.
Set, his tuner. Yeah.
But I'm staring at him and he's laughing. I see him laughing. I'm like, there's no way. He's laughing at his guitar string just did something funny. And it turns out that maybe he was laughing at the sketch. So I'll tell you. So the sketch goes on and it does well. It does great. It blows the roof off. It did really nice. It was really good. And then after Hanks came up to me and he said it was great and all that sort of stuff. And it was like bedlam. Giuliani came up to me. Dana, who's the LSD guy from San Francisco?
Timothy
Leary.
Leary was there. God, what a cavalcade.
Yeah, it was like
characters.
I asked Dana Davey just because Dana knows San Francisco. That's the only reason I asked.
I'm young. I don't know that.
Plus, he knows everything. Yeah. So he came up to me and they were just all, this is a funny sketch. And then Springsteen came walking up and I'm like, what the fuck is happening here? What the hell? He's coming closer. He's coming to me. What? And he goes, hey, that sketch is really funny. They told me you wrote it. That's not a good Springsteen at all, by the way.
I'll do a pinch hit there.
Oh.
They told me that sketch sure was funny. They told me you wrote it.
That's it. All
right.
That's
so
it.
Then you're he's a bit grumpy old man. I was a little too deep on that one. So
actually,
your sketch kills.
I was just say, like
Springsteen's your best friend. Okay,
go ahead. We met. I said, actually, you and I met Bruce.
Oh boy,
back at the Hollywood YMCA, and he goes, oh yeah, that used to be my spot. And he was lifting weights.
Were you on the other side of that glory hole?
I was on the side.
Like, we didn't really meet face to face.
I used to follow you in the bench press. I had to put a lot more weight on
you used to tell me you'd see him at the Y. Honestly, back then.
He got into weights heavily. Yeah.
Yeah, he did. He said that he told me, my friend Bruce, he told me that that working out for 3.5 hours, lifting weights and stuff, was nothing compared to a concert. He said after a concert, he's wrung out like crazy. So I kind of believe them because anything you say, I was going to say,
totally.
Yes, sir.
I think that's true.
Yeah. And by the way, he told me that he goes, I can't believe it. They made me take my picture for the YMCA ID. And like, he was not offended.
That's hysterical.
Yeah. Right. But he said, people should know who I am probably. And in my head, I'm thinking, who the hell are you? Take your picture. Why complain? No, but so he said it was good. And he said nice. And he started talking. And then like everyone's clustered around me. And then Jim Downey walked by and said, good sketch, young man. Those are the 4 words he said there. And I was walking on air and I thought like, oh, suddenly I'm like, oh, right, I'm cool.
All right. So this is my request. I just want to go backwards for like 3 seconds because if I was listening to this, I'd be like, oh, Fred Wolf, he was in the clubs. Then he knew David and Rob and now he wrote this sketch. But if you could just you have some just great one-liners or very short things you have in your stand-up. Kind of, can you just give us, unless you can't remember,
give you some.
like 3 classic, because I think it would set the table for why, as a stand-up, Fred was really strong. But then, and as a writer, it was even stronger because you wrote great stuff. It's hard to write great jokes. David, do you have one of a Fred Wolf classic?
One he did.
Yeah.
Here's one. Do you remember this little number? So this club is great. They're so nice to me. They actually sent a limo to pick me up. It was a really big limo. I had a bar in it. It was a gay bar, but still.
It's just a good joke.
Even
Those are hard.
Is that close to what it was?
They're very good, yeah. And of course, it's funnier when you guys say it.
Okay, here's another one. I went to the dentist, and the guy goes, "I have to extract your teeth, your back molar. So I'm going to cut a 4-inch hole in your cheek, and then I'm going to pry it open, and then I'm going to dig in there and get it." And he goes, "Can I just open my mouth?" And he goes, "Well, I know the first way works."
I didn't
See, those are very skilled.
Very good,
very skilled.
Those are
writing.
short too. They're like boom, boom. You could open with those too. You woke up with a spider in your bed on your
I
pillow.
woke up with a spider in my bed. I thought, man, I must have really been drunk last night. And I slept with my pillow over my head and woke up the next morning. All my teeth were gone. There was a $10 bill there. Teeth. I went on in Montana. I did stand up there a month ago or so, missing a tooth, my bottom tooth. Every tooth joke destroyed because
it was connected to you missing the bottom tooth. You pointed that out.
I was one of them.
Anyway, so that's why you were able to become a great writer, because you had some great writing training in stand-up. And stand-up is the ultimate. You can't play around. You either get a laugh or you don't. It's very painful when you don't get a laugh.
And you can read a joke packet. You can read 2 jokes and go, he's got some game. It's very, you can tell very quickly if something is clicking. And I'm sure we probably read Mr. Belvedere first, me and Rob, and just in our minimal experience there thought, this is at least good enough to go to the next level. Or we would have stopped you there and said, do you have anything else?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It was
Yes.
great. So give it to Downey, because that's a big thing to give to Downey. You get one swing. If he doesn't like it, you're not going to get another one read, probably.
That's right. And you guys were nice enough to tell me that.
Now, what was the sad part about the end of Belvedere?
Well, so it did great, and I fully expect there to be more to the story. Usually in my life, and I'm not like a sad sack. I'm just saying it doesn't come easy a lot of times because of low self-esteem and so forth. So I was walking on air, and I thought, this is like the coolest thing I think I've ever experienced, of this nature. And then everyone was saying, "Oh, you're going to come back as a guest writer." That was great. No guest writer has ever gotten a sketch on supposedly at that point. And this was top of the show sketch and did well, and people seemed to like it. And so I thought, okay. And this was towards the end of that season. And so the next season would start, over the summer would pass and so forth. And everyone said, "You're hired. You're hired. There's no way. This is so great. This is going to be so fun having you out there." And then September rolls around and nothing, like crickets.
Nothing even by September. You should have known by it.
I know people
boy.
like you were going back, and Sandler and a couple, they were saying like, "Yeah, we're heading out. When are you coming out?"
Wow.
And you guys were so nice about it, but we all assumed. And so when you assume, when you make an ass of you and me, but I called Kenny Among, who I've gotten to know since this phone call.
The producer, SNL, kind of took care of everything.
Did you, when Jim Downey was on you guys' show, did Dave do his impression of Jim Downey by any chance?
I don't remember mine.
Oh my God, it was so great because Downey, I said, "Jim, you got to see Dave, do you?"
You didn't like it.
Oh,
I know, he's worried. Yeah.
This, I know, I do this. I go, no, it's how you close your office door and turn to walk away. That's what it is.
With the keys and the physical.
And he looks back.
I remember
Dana's
that.
right with the keys. Dana's right with the keys and all that.
And looking around, reaching for the keys and looking around like he's going. He's trying to hide in that office.
And the one foot is pigeon-toed. The 1 foot slightly pigeon-toed. You got the whole thing. And even Downey loved it. He actually said he liked it. So anyway, so I called Kenny Among, the producer, right? Because I said, "Why? Am I coming out?" And he goes, "No, Fred, they're not bringing you back." And I go, "Oh,
really?"
I like you have to ask. You're like, "Are we still dating?" He's like, "No, we broke up 3 months ago."
Yeah, I felt
just
silly.
For a second. But Fred, can I ask you a question? So Belvedere is on like in February, March, or was it toward the end of the season?
I think it was like the third to last show. Yeah.
And so in the final shows, you didn't get anything on then, or what happened in the post Belvedere shows?
Actually, thanks for asking, because they did bring me back for another 2-week stint. Yes, and then I wrote a sketch that almost made it to dress, but they said something like, "Hold it, this is good, but hold it. Don't let's not fiddle with it so much." That's actually part of the story a little bit, but so thank you for asking, and thanks for setting it up. That's true. So Kenny Among, when I talked to him later, when I got to know him, I said, "Yeah, you were kind of brutal on the phone there." And he goes, I had to rip the Band-Aid off, man. I've had to do that call so many times. It's really rough.
Jesus.
To say, no, you're
That's
not coming
awful.
back. We hate you, that kind of stuff.
He's just the messenger.
So, and
Yes,
as anyone would say, if they were telling this story to a 10-year-old, and then what happened?
Exactly. So when he said that, I hung up the phone. And at this point, I had bought my mother's house for her. She was losing her house up there in Montana, a log cabin store. And so I had no cash at all. So my girlfriend at the time, now my wife, she said, why don't you move in with me to help pay the bills and all that stuff? And I did. And I kind of thought I was going to be working there. So I didn't really have a job and so forth. So I started, went out and started doing stand-up, and I was really bummed out. But a week later, I said, there's 2 ways to go here. That's the top of the top of the top. And there I was for a second. I could kind of just give up to stand up and just sort of, open a dry cleaner one day or something. Or maybe I'll keep trying to write sketches. And this is where Davey and Rob and Adam and those guys came in and, were giving me encouragement and stuff. And I'd write another sketch and say, hey, what about this one? But then about halfway through the season that I was not back at, I got a call from Rob Schneider between dress and air. He said, we just did the sketch that you wrote when you were here as a guest writer. It was called Stoop Rankouts. And we just did it. And you're not going to believe what happened. Stoop Rankouts, the host was Joe Pesci. And Scorsese and Robert De Niro came by to visit Pesci, and they jumped into your sketch. And they were two of the guys that walked. It was insane. It was so cool. The premise was it was Pesci and Adam Sandler, I think, on the steps, and everyone walking by, they would have some insult to say. It's like New York City. I grew up in New York City.
Making fun of them when they walk by.
Yeah. Hey, such and such called. They want their such and such back. It was based on my New York City experiences, and they became so. In that sketch that I had written before I knew Pesci would ever do it or anything like that, I had written that one of the guys walking by that got insulted said, "You guys are assholes, and one of these days a real rain's going to come and wash all the scum off the streets, and you're going to be the scum." And that line is directly from Taxi Driver, my favorite movie of all time. Mm-hmm. So I wrote a sketch, and there it is. It's in with Pesci, and who's out there to does that line?
Shut the fuck up!
It's fucking crazy. It's not. It's like there's 7 billion people on this planet. The two people that did that line that I wrote. Oh my God, it was Scorsese and De Niro. What the fuck?
That's awesome.
I start crying.
That's a chills.
But by the way, Bill Hader, we've heard from a couple guests that Taxi Driver is that's their movie, their first love. So it's interesting you bring it up as well. But to have De Niro say the line in your sketch when Kenny said you weren't coming back, and then Schneider calls you, probably sounds like this. You're never going to believe what just happened. Oh, sorry.
Let me finish. Don't talk over me.
Springsteen called me at home during that. He goes, I think this is Fred's. I think they're using Fred's, Dana. So anyway, go ahead.
Timothy Leary called and said there was a flying elephant.
Yeah.
You're like, and then Bruce Springsteen put me on his shoulders again and sang for He's a Jolly Good Fellow. I'm like, no one really confirmed that part. Like, well, that was over back by the...
He made it. I made my fingers. I move a little bit, and I asked Fred, "What chord is this?" And he says, "A G7 minor."
No, Fred found out later that Bruce Springsteen's guitar string did say something funny to him, and that's what he was laughing at.
Everyone now knows why I hung on you guys' coattails. Oh my God!
But he was being nice.
Not all. So that's a Cinderella story. So then what happens?
But do you get called in for that one? Do you get called like, "Hey,
you get rehired," right?
And you get rehired.
Well, so that's the good part is I almost didn't care at this point because those guys did my lines, but no, again, silence, no, nothing. And Rob is the only one who told me it ever happened. And so it didn't make the show. It got cut for lots of reasons, time. And so
what? It didn't make the show with De Niro doing a cameo?
Oh my God.
Scorsese?
Yeah, and I think I think there was reasons.
How did they botch it?
God has a plan, so let him do his thing. Let him do his thing. Don't insult God. Jeez.
Yeah, why are you mad at God?
Yeah, leave God alone.
Yeah, Bobby,
but
and Marty.
And by the way, Rob was so great. So the fact that he called and said all that stuff, and he was kind of recounting the whole thing, blah blah blah. And he goes, "I gotta go. We're going to air." So by that time, he probably knew it was cut. He didn't tell me. So anyway, that was like about midway through the next season where I wasn't there. And I go, man, that gives me hope though. That they actually, remember me. And I was talking to Davey, like Dave, we talked like at least twice a week, and
Very
he'd give me
close. Yeah.
all the skinny and stuff and what's going on.
We're
and
all
that sort of
really,
stuff.
really good friends. We haven't seen each other since the pandemic, just so the audience knows. We're all we've worked together extensively, and we'll get
That's
to
right.
that. Yeah.
That's right. And yes, and my two idols. Actually, there's 5 of you guys, and but you're
There's
2 of
3
them. But
Beatles on the line.
I'm guessing the other 3. Ready?
Okay.
Okay.
Or should I not say it?
Maybe not. Is that okay?
Sam.
Yeah,
okay if
because
you
you'll
don't?
have to say someone isn't, and that'll make you feel weird.
Oh,
Right.
Thank
That's
you.
true.
But if
you.
Dana and I
Thank you.
made the 2 out of 5, that's good if that's true.
I said it. I said it at 5 on stage in front of Jodo 2, and I felt so stupid because whatever. Yeah. So
Go ahead.
so. By the way,
How do
very
you
nice, very
get how do you get permanently hired on SNL as a writer? The plot is thickening now.
nice. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, thanks.
If you can't get it with those 2, it's like, does anyone have
Mhm.
hope?
So I did start thinking like, okay, what's up here? And so this was
What
kind
do
of
you
cool too.
want from me?
Yeah, exactly. I'm so good. Why don't you see it?
I'm 2 for 2.
Yeah, that's right.
Kind of.
And
Springsteen called Lorne.
yes,
I don't know if there's anything there. That
Yeah.
kid's got something. I swear to God, I'm
No,
Bruce
Springsteen said, I know you need him in New York, but I need him on the other side of that glory hole in LA.
Glory
it wasn't a
hole.
glory hole. Everyone's going to think it was a glory hole. I
Dana's
swear it's no glory hole.
offended.
No, Smartless did 20 minutes on it. As I was like, holy tomatoes. I'm a little bit of a prude, but I don't mind fucking swear words.
Yeah, we can.
So Fred, how'd you get hired on this fucker?
Okay, sorry. So here we go. Shit. Sorry. Oh my god, I'm in trouble now. So they still radio sounds. I had never really talked to Jim Downey when I was out there. Like he's the man. He's the Oz. He's the guy.
Brilliant
down there,
writer.
all that stuff. Yes,
Yep.
he's incredible and smart as hell. So I figured, okay, he doesn't want to talk to somebody dumb because you know how that that could work. Yeah, water finds its own level. He didn't want to find my level. So I started kind of thinking, okay, there might be an opening here now. So then I started writing sketches and started sending them to Downey. And I'll never know if he read them or not, but I kind of got a little bit of hope and I was working and I still wasn't able to get a job just to kind of, I did stand up and so forth, but still broke and all that sort of stuff. And then about 4 months pass and the next season is going to start happening in about a month or so. And this is like so hard to believe what I'm going to tell you guys. And it's like a huge brag. I can't help it.
I love this.
In one day,
Own it, brother.
What's that?
Own it, brother.
Okay. I
There
am,
you go.
again, it's providential in some way is I got, in one day in a 7-hour period, I got 3 phone calls. The first one was, Chevy Chase called me on the phone. Chevy Chase, he had a new talk show, and he wanted to know if I wanted to be a writer. And I said, yes, sir, I do. And so I hung up the phone going, I got a job. And it's with Chevy Chase. And I idolized that guy. Then the phone rang about 2 hours later, and it was Smigel saying, do you want to come write on the Conan O'Brien show? They were just starting that show, late night.
Wow.
Smigel's my champ. Oh my God, I couldn't
Wow.
believe it. And I go, oh, damn, I'm working for Chevy Chase. And my God, I can't believe you called me. Then 2 hours later, Jim Downey called me. All in one day, all in a 7-hour period. Downey called. Young man, we were thinking about bringing you out to work on Saturday Night Live as a writer. And I said, oh my God in heaven, I want you so bad. I said yes to Chevy Chase. And Downey actually on his end got out a calculator, he said, and told me what I would make on the show and all that sort of stuff. And he said, I think you might be better off out here in terms of salary and all that stuff. He was actually trying to talk me into it. And I'm like, what the fuck happened here? But because I said yes to the almighty Chevy, I did that show. And I did that for about 11 weeks and then it got canceled. And the next day, literally the next day, I got on a plane and I flew out there and I got to Saturday Night Live. Okay, one last thing to wrap it up.
So you
Okay,
blew off Conan?
Yeah, fuck him.
I mean, Conan and Smigel is a great combo to say no, but you one day before you would have dove at that.
Yeah, and I to be fair, I didn't know Conan that well, so I didn't know if he was going to like my
teasing.
stuff. But
Yeah.
Smigel was like, he was.
Well, you had an SNL. That's the thing.
2 brilliant guys.
Conan was beginning his superstar career at that
Oh
point.
yeah, and so just to kind of put the little capper on the end of it. So I flew out there and I was so excited. Of course, I was there, and here I'm at Saturday Night Live, And in my first week, I will say this, the show had already started too, because Chevy was on for 11 weeks, like I said. And the show started, and my first week there, like everyone was going, hey, welcome back. And there's new writers there and all sorts of stuff. And the first show was, I forget who the host was, but I put sketches in, and there were 20-page sketches, and those are bad, 20 pages. It ate it so hard, it got no laughs, the first sketch. And then Lauren came to the second sketch in the pile of 45 sketches. And he's we're moving on. And he put my sketch in the back of the pile. Oh. And people were not looking at me after Dave talked to me. Rob talked to me. Adam talked to me.
So was the bad boys were still there. There was still Farley, Sandler, Spade.
Yes. And they all talked to me. But a lot of people didn't talk to me because they thought, oh, this is a guy that they flew out. This is a guy they were talking about. So it ate it, it tanked and all that stuff. And then the next week, luckily, and just to finish the story, I put in something for Christian Slater and got on the show, and it did great, and everything was fine.
Was it Dysfunctional Family Feud?
No, but man, is that funny? Damn.
That was funny,
yeah. No, it was, whatever, photograph store or something like that, but it was just fun. And there I was, and I was super happy. And I met you guys.
Remember, Fred, we wrote the heroin store? Was that me and you?
Yeah.
Where all the windows were taped up with aluminum foil, and everyone was on heroin. And
every time someone opens the door to come in, they'll go, shut the door.
Hey, come on.
And that's where you had in there, it's written in there, you had, we need more cowbell. They were writing a song. The heroin guys were there writing a song at the store. And your line, I remember saying, one guy says, we need more cowbell. There's no way that Farrell heard that, but
oh my God,
you said it first. We need more cowbell. I always remember
that.
Interesting. I'm going to get Will on the line here as we continue.
Let's patch him through.
Yeah. No, he didn't. He wasn't there then, so he didn't hear that.
But you had a great run, and I think Fred, Chris Rock left, then Adam and Chris left, and then I left, and I think you stayed a year, and you were bumped to head writer.
Yeah, that was really cool. So, yes, that's exactly how it happened. So, I had a few years there, and you and I did a few movies and so forth. And so,
right.
This is actually kind of funny. So, I was.
Okay, I have a question.
Yes, sir.
About those few years.
Mm-hmm.
So, did you? You became adaptive to the show. You learned. You like, oh, this is the kind of sketch that works on this show. I mean, you must have had a huge learning curve to become head writer. Because then you have to manage people. I mean, all of a sudden you're head writer from having a rough time getting on the show. Was it like a 3-year period where you must have really mastered the show? They don't make anyone head writer. That's a big deal.
That's nice you say that. And I will say, to pat my own back, yes, I kind of stared really hard at every sketch and just said, I wonder how this will go. I wonder what Downey would think of this. I wonder why did that get this hook? I mean, why did this click and so forth? And it was a very fun thing to do. It's like one of the only things I actually can do okay, which is sort of analyze something and say, okay, it's funny because Dave and I have talked about this before. In Tommy Boy, the scene that blew the roof off in front of test audiences was a deer waking up in the car and trashing the car. Mm-hmm. And the audience, they just went nuts when they saw that. And then when Farley is putting on Davy's jacket, fat guy in a little coat, test audiences, they go, yeah. But then like 20 years later, you ask people about Tommy Boy and they'll say fat guy in a little coat. That's what like lives on.
Yeah. They remember the most throwaway jokes. They have to see it so many times and then it changes of what's their favorite.
Yeah. Yeah. And plus also there's gut laughter and then there's that thinking laughter. And there's just those, like a Jack Handy sketch, for instance, just has that beautiful thoughts in there. And this, you might not laugh out loud like crazy, but there's just something about them that stay with you. And I would study those. I would study Dana. I would study, when Dana did Tom Brokaw, for instance, one of the funniest things I ever heard, just the voice, the cadence, and why would they get a laugh? Someone else doing Tom Brokaw, me doing Tom Brokaw, nothing, zero. And so there was just something about it. And I would study that. I had Davy's voice in my head, where we have the same sort of background, almost same number of brothers now. Dave's got 2 brothers. I had 3. But and we're both from a certain type of background. I kind of knew his thought process. I knew why he was funny because he has that voice, that cadence, and so forth. But I wouldn't know, like Adam Sandler. I'd say, okay, what is it about him? Why is he special? What is going on there? What's happening? And you start saying, okay, I could tailor it towards that, tailor it towards this, or I could do something a little bit out of the ordinary. And it's the one show I think that was on TV at that time that just had something interesting going on, where it wasn't, as Lauren would say, we're not doing Carol Burnett. He would say he loved that show, but we're doing something where it might be a little bit odd here and there. The 5 to 1 piece. Remember, we would call those
right.
The
at the end of the show, could be it would be a gamble piece that might not work.
Right. And it would be a soft, quiet piece or whatever, but they'd take a chance on it. They'd just put it out there. And some people would love those pieces. They had the cult following. So yeah, Dana, to answer your question, there was
so that was a great.
It was
and then
really
all of a
fun.
sudden you're writing. By the way, Downey used to always say he didn't like bits that played to we call the yahoos, or the people, woo, not really a laugh, but oh, that. He didn't want that. But so then just, because this is you and David, like, so you go down the movies, like, obviously Tommy Boy, you punched up, right?
Yeah.
And wrote a lot on that. And then you guys did sequels, you did Joe Dirt. So why don't you guys talk for a bit? I'm just gonna listen.
Oh, but Dana, you were such a big part of all this stuff because we all wanted to make Dana laugh. One thing I will, Lauren wanted Jim Downey to do a pass on Tommy Boy, and Downey said to Lauren that he would do it if I would do it because it'd be fun or whatever, and they wanted Downey to fly out to LA and do it. So I did it with him for about 3 or 4 days, and then I knew the director, Pete Siegel. This is before David has a giant part in this whole thing, but so that happened about season 3, Dave, or something like that. I don't know. I forget what year that happened, but we were writing that. Yeah. And I think because that was such a great experience and a lot of wild stuff, and Dave and Chris flying back and forth to Toronto, I think we were in the trenches, all of us together. These guys worked much harder than I did, of course, all that flying back and forth. You guys, so actually there was a friend of mine, Annette, and they listened to the show like religiously. And they said, can you talk about when you're on the show, what the week is like at SNL? This is a perfect opportunity to do it. Is on Monday, we sort of beat the host and we all sit in Lauren's office and pitch out something. Then on Tuesday and Wednesday, we write like crazy. Monday night too, write sketches. And on Wednesday, there's a read through. And they read about 40 sketches and they pick the ones they're going to show. And then Thursday and Friday, they build the sets and they get ready for dress rehearsal on Saturday. And Dave and Chris were flying back and forth. They would be there. I think you would meet the host on Monday, right? Then fly out Monday night. Is that how it went?
No, we would shoot Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, come in for a read through.
A read through on Wednesday.
And then we go back that night.
You would fly out that night after read through.
And
right?
where were you flying to? Were you shooting in Canada?
Toronto.
Yeah. And you're shooting Tommy Boy and going in and out.
Yeah, and then we'd shoot Thursday and come back Friday morning and rehearse and do the show Saturday and then leave after the show.
You had to block, yeah.
Or if Farley wanted to go to the rap party, we'd have to wait. But we're shooting Sunday morning at 7, so I go, and we skip the rap party. No!
you said if Farley wanted to go
and
to the
that was him speaking softly. No!
Yeah, my dial was set incorrectly. It's got to be screaming and wet. But so did you guys film on Sunday then? Or just flew? Oh, wow. Jesus.
That scene with Rob Lowe where we're in like where they're making cars and Rob Lowe gets hit in the balls, and I don't want to give the whole movie away, but Rob Lowe, and then I think Aykroyd's in it. It's the only day we could all be there and we could rent this place, and we shot 24 hours. We've never done that. We just kept shooting so we didn't have it done. So we went all the way into Monday, and then we just, that was a beating. But it obviously worked out. We'd call Fred if he didn't fly up with us and say, what about this? We're thinking of like, is it a clip on? Just little throwaway jokes. We're putting everything, and I'll let you finish. But it all worked out, thank God. And that's why we tried to do Black Sheep the following summer.
I got married, and while we were writing this thing, trying to get it ready, I got married and we went on our honeymoon. And on the plane, I saw the guys giving the directions, the flight attendants giving the directions. So I called Dave as soon as we landed. I go, hey, what about you guys are on the airplane and you're giving flight directions? And Dave said, oh yeah, what about Singing Superstar? The Singing Superstar, and they changing the radio channel. And I'm like, oh my God, this is so fucking great. And so I type it in on my honeymoon, and my wife got really mad. I think she really did. She goes, this is supposed to be a honeymoon. I go, back off. So
you go, turn into a money moon.
and it was like, it was the best. It was writing like Saturday Night Live stuff. So one of the cool things is Lauren started like knowing my name a little bit. It was nice.
Fred.
Yeah. Oh, go. We all do Dana. all do
That's Fred's.
Can't compete.
I ever done Lorne Michaels starting an outboard motor?
No, go.
He's in a little motor. He's like, no. Oh, no. 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 Sorry.
Now he's started and he's driving it.
Yeah. He's pulling the cord on the Evan root. No.
Not started.
No. Because Lorne for Inside Baseball, when he would explain things and you would ask a question before he was finished explaining, it's that thing of like you get married and you mean it's important. No, don't misunderstand me. That was his insert. So anyway, go ahead.
Lauren and I were walking through Beverly Hills. We do these like 2-hour walks, and I loved every second of it. I kind of wish he was my dad. Because my dad was
he's all of our dad in a way,
right? Because I had no dad. But we'd walk through Beverly Hills, and one night, so Austin Powers opened that weekend on. I went and saw it Friday, the night it opened at the Chinese Theater. And then he and I were walking on Saturday, and we're walking, and all of a sudden he goes, "Oh, I hear." By the way, I'm doing Dana, of course. I hear that Mike is doing me in the movie, and I go, I just saw it the night before, and he was like identical to Lauren. Like there was nothing. It was nothing but Lauren. And I'm going like, what was he? And he goes, well, I heard he was. See that. And then did he have to name him Dr. Fucking Evil? But
it's true.
Yeah.
I could see from Lauren's perspective.
Yeah. However, I think Lauren, from what I understand, he wasn't. Of course, he talked to Mike about it.
And there was a lot of James Bond villains in there.
Cool.
Lauren is a great character, and he has a great rhythm and an incredible intellect. So fun voice to do.
He was going to be at my drunk parents. I had him all lined up. He was going to do it. He said yes, he would. And
really,
Alec Baldwin and I both called. Oh. And he was going to do it, and I wanted him in it so bad, but we had to change the schedule around because it snowed or whatever. Anyway, so and by the way, when we walked through Beverly Hills for about a couple of years, when I first started walking, Lauren would walk down the middle of the sidewalk, and I'd be walking like over the roots, the tree roots, all the bubbles,
right.
Just ducking
and
branches
he's just
and
strolling.
And I did with French kings, yes. And
trees are violent.
I started knowing maybe I was rising a little bit when I started walking like on a little inch of the sidewalk. And I'd take my little part of the concrete. But we were walking, and he talked about what it would be like to be a head writer. And Jim Downey at this point was looking to cut back on his hours and work with Norm on stuff. And we get to a corner of where Nate Niles is. And he just turns to me and goes, "Mark, I was wondering if you wanted to be the head writer." And I cannot believe I said this. First of all, I can't believe that happened. It went from like nothing to that. And then for some reason it came out of my mouth. I go, "Sure, if you'd make me a future player." And he said, "Done," like that. It was all one sentence. And
you said, "Dada."
He said, "Who the fuck are you to ask me or tell me anything?"
Then
like
he
that?
picked you up and carried you.
That's like a movie thing. I want to do that at some point. Someone asked me about a negotiation, and I'll just say, "Done."
Done.
I know, done's a great one.
Just one word. Done. No, don't talk anymore. It's done. It's just so, it's very Lauren. He's brilliant.
Done means done.
So you barely got on the show. Now you write Tommy Boy, and then you're
Black
the head
Sheep.
writer. This is the 90s, late 90s. Your career's taken off. Do you get kind of a big ego? Are you kind of, I'm just kidding.
I think,
you're very self-deprecating the whole way through, right?
I think with super low self-esteem, what I got to is like normal. No, I'm joking. I was very proud of it. I was very proud of hard work to do it. I was proud I didn't give up. But no, I was always sure that something was going to happen. They're going to pull the rug out, or someone's going to find out what a fraud I am. So I don't know if I had time to be.
Luckily, they haven't yet.
Not yet.
Yeah. But then you went Black Sheep. Then we did Dickie Roberts. That's us two together writing. And then we did Joe Dirt. And then you went, and then he directed House Bunny, which was a big one. That was a great one.
House Bunny was a hit.
That was a blast. Yeah. One of the things about House Bunny, which I get to say, is Anna Faris has that certain thing we were talking about. And Emma Stone, there's that something where when they come in, like when Emma came into audition for that part in House Bunny, where I'm going to sound like I think I'm a genius. I'm not. I'm just saying this is the one thing I'm pretty good at, is when she left the room, she had read for one part, and I told Heather Perry, I said that she could any part she wants in the movie. And she was 18 years old when she came in. There was just something about her. I want to tell you guys. This has to do with you guys. And Dana, you were the king at this point. So like
I'm an old king,
like literally the king. Like when you got SNL, everyone, all the comics in LA were talking about it. Everybody, because you were mostly based in San Francisco, so you weren't around the LA scene as much. But we all knew you, and everyone would talk about you. So it sounds like you're being left out of this. You're not. You were huge, and everyone wanted to be Dana Carvey. But I was working. The first TV show I ever got was called Too Hip for TV, and it was on NBC daytime. And Brandon Tartikoff, I don't know why, but he came to my office and said, "You're a stand-up comedian, right?" And I go, "Yeah, I have really funny jokes when I hear them." And he said, "Could you tell us the names of some comedians that might be good to host this show?" And I said, "Sure, of course." And so I took that weekend, and this was really interesting to me, is that I made a list of like all my friends. This is a chance to get somebody work. Or
and what year is this?
88.
About
1988. Okay. Yeah. And so I made this list, and I remember like I have friends, and I would say like Dave knows some of these guys. Like I would say Tim Rose, oh, he's a funny guy, but maybe wouldn't show up on time or whatever. Nothing, I shouldn't say the names, and I kind of went through all my names, and the ones, here's the 5 that I settled on that I thought had what it takes. They were totally unknown at this time. Had what it takes, had that certain something, had the charisma, would show up on time, know how to shake hands, know how to talk to the executives, and would know how to memorize the stuff that we had to do, is have our show, comedy. And the 5 names, and they were completely unknown.
I love this build up.
Yeah. It was Rob Schneider, David Spade, Adam Sandler, Colin Quinn, and George Clooney.
Holy shit.
Those are the 5. Totally unknown. And Colin Quinn got it. He got the host.
They blew off Clooney and Sandler.
Clooney, yeah. I think if I remember right, Dave and Rob auditioned for it together for some reason.
Yeah, we did stuff together back then. I mean, they would bring us in together. And I think who got it? Ahmet Zappa? Dweezil Zappa, maybe?
Yes, it was Colin Quinn and Ahmet Zappa. Good memory. Dang.
Because I was furious.
You should have been. Actually, there was one guy.
I still have a voodoo doll.
I remember there was one guy, I won't say his name, I thought, oh, I'll put him on the list. And then when I talked to him about it, he didn't seem that excited. And I thought, oh, he's not going to even show up for the audition maybe. So I kind of crossed his name off. But, and that guy was Clint Eastwood. No, but all kidding aside, those are the 5 names. And there was just that certain something. And so House Bunny was sort of a cakewalk because Anna had that something.
Just a little arithmetic, because you're good with numbers. Like that cadre, that 5. If you had to just write now on a quiz show, what is the net worth of those 5 individuals in 2022? Is it 700 million, 900 million, or 1 billion? So
Dana, when he was doing House Bunny, Fred, when you were doing House Bunny, remember I knew House Bunny. I don't know if I read it, but you were like, it's 5 women and they're all funny. And I just done something with Rihanna, and she was so new. And I said, you know who's got that certain, this girl's unreal. She's gorgeous. She's talented. It might be too late because she's singing and I don't even know what she's doing, but I don't know how I ran into her. And then you said, yeah, let's bring her in. And I think you did literally bring her in and talk to her.
Yeah.
And then she was going on tour.
Yes, that's right.
Oh, she couldn't do it. And she would have been great. It was really early in Rihanna's career.
Yeah. Because anytime guys like you brought up a name like that, obviously all hands on deck. But yes, she came in and met, and it was really cool, and she was great, and she would have been great in the movie. Oh my God, it would have been unbelievable. But there's this guy named Mike Sanborn, and he's a really good guy. He's ex Special Forces, FBI now, and he's like a hot shot, And he actually mentored my daughter in the FBI. Just started 3 weeks ago, and I'm super psyched.
Your daughter is in the FBI?
She just started. Yeah,
she's training.
Yeah, training.
Okay, that's a newsflash. Wow.
And you met Molly,
Of course.
That's all we can say about Dan.
I remember her as a sweet little, and now she's like,
2 daughters. Great.
I'm not going to play games. I want answers, and I want them now.
She said something the other day. She said, I'm going to put you on a no-fly list. But anyway, so
when she's mad,
when she's mad,
yeah, it's funny. But Sanborn is like this super tough guy, and I always think like what are you? Who are you that you're a special force, that you die for your country, that you would do all this sort of stuff? Meanwhile, he tells me like stupid little jokes in Tommy Boy, and I'm Like, I can't even believe he knows the movie, let alone like laughing at jokes. He's usually laughing at Dave's stuff, but it's just
I
like,
doubt it.
it doesn't make sense to me, this whole laughter thing. Dana, when you, there's so many stories. But anyway, sorry. So House Money was a cakewalk. Sorry, because Anna was
a star.
force
She's
of
got
nature.
such a great charisma about her. She's funny. She's likable. That was like the perfect movie for her.
Yes, it was. And Emma Stone just had that sort of. Actually, the entire cast just had that little
Catherine
something.
McPhee
Whatever.
was in it. There's a lot of people in it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And what about Dirty Work? I want to hear about that before we got to go.
Oh, so let me tell you about Norm really quick. So Dirty Work. So Norm MacDonald. I'll never know exactly how I helped, but maybe it did. So Norm was also a friend, and so I was outside in the office waiting to meet Lauren for the first time to be a guest writer, and I was sitting there for 2 hours, and I remember Chris Rock came and sat down and says, people say you're not going to wait you're sitting there for 2 hours. They say, I'm going to leave, man. I'm going to show them I'm my own man. No, you will not get the job. Says Chris Rock. Yeah. And so
everything is like a army movie or something. You stay seated, private. Go ahead, Fred.
and so I was in the outside area, and there's all these people always outside Lauren's office there, and there's maybe 40 people there, at least 50. I hear one of them saying, we saw this guy named Norm MacDonald last night performing at the Catch Rising Star. And I hear that, and I call over and go, oh, are you talking about Norm MacDonald? And they go, yeah, we saw him last night. I think he might audition for the show. And I go, oh, was he funny? And they go, he was really funny. I go, oh, you want to see his act? So yeah. And so I stood up and did like about maybe 4 or 5 minutes of Norm's act while I was waiting for and destroyed, blew the roof off. And Lauren stuck his head out of his office. What's going on?
Come on.
And one of them said, he's doing Norm MacDonald. He's doing Norm MacDonald. And
do you remember one of the lines? Probably wouldn't, right? Do you remember one of the lines you said?
The game show. What's it's me, Bob.
I know. I put you on the spot.
I got one.
Got one, David? Okay.
Yeah, he goes, I saw it. What's the one? He goes, I saw a homeless guy with a dog on the corner laying down, and he goes, this dog must be thinking, this is the longest fucking walk.
Yeah, when's this walk going to be over? I got one too now. Some people say, I'm an optimist there, an optimist, and there's a pessimist. The pessimist looks at the glass and says, no, an optimist looks at the glass and, no. A pessimist looks at the glass and says the glass is half empty. I'm a pessimist. I look at that glass and I say it's half full, but I think I might have bowel cancer.
Okay, here's my
Fred loves it. I don't remember that one. That's a great one.
I like Norm's he'd take a figure of speech, colloquialism, whatever, and just turn it. They say like a penny saved is like a penny earned, right? That's like 100% return, right? That's too much, isn't it? I mean, come on. That's it. Well, he would just take a figure of speech and just run with it in a casual way
and make it funny somehow.
Yeah, stitch in time. What's that? A stitch in time? Like what do they got? There's a seamstress up there, and
who's still stitching?
Still stitching. So anyway, that was Norm's.
We shared an office, and I would look to see. He never wrote anything down. He had nothing written down. I would look for it. I would go through the drawers, like, where was it written? What the fuck? He came back once. He came back from. He was opening for Bill Cosby, and he came into the office like I was there at 3 a.m. He came walking in. He goes, I was opening for Bill Cosby. I go, oh yeah, I'm making this fast. Don't worry. He goes, yeah. I told him. I said, I didn't know what to say to Bill Cosby, a legend of all time. And so I go, you're my father's favorite comedian that's ever lived. And Bill Cosby goes, well, let's call your father on the phone. And you don't want to call him on the phone. Hey, you're a huge star. You don't want to be on the phone with my father. He's Canada. No, I don't want to do that. I didn't know what to say to Bill Cosby because my father had been dead for like 10 years. I was totally lying.
Yeah, that's very Norm. God rest his soul, the greatest. Yes, love Norm.
He's the man. He's good.
He's good.
Just Canadian. I was just up in Canada. Norm's legendary.
Oh, yeah.
I love him.
Dirty Work, people would run up to Bob Saget, the director. They would like there'd be 100 people around him trying to get his autograph when we were shooting in Canada, in Toronto. And then Norm would have like 4 people walk up that idolized him, like a total idolization,
Yeah,
it was like a different fan thing.
Okay, 3 words to close out this. I'm going to be representing the fans. Joe Dirt 3. Huh? I'm representing the fans right now.
Dave had an idea of the Joe Dirt sister.
I feel like we should do a Joe Dirt animated because we could do it forever and I wouldn't look so old. But I feel animated would be crazy and we could do anything we wanted and still have the voices and we could probably get Walken and everybody and it would be great. But I don't know how to do that.
That'd be cool.
Walken. I hear maybe another Joe Dirt.
People tell me all the time, Joe Dirt. Do you know people? They have seen it. Like he's always shocked that someone remembered it or knew he was in it.
Didn't know what they thought. Never got over it.
You better watch your tone. Watch your tone is a great one.
Watch your tone.
Watch your tone. Yes, tone is a good way to.
He tells Kid Rock to watch his tone.
Hey, Dana's was good just now. I never heard you do Walken before.
Well, I did a Jack Candy sketch with him once where we're in a wooden spaceship on 8H. We're rehearsing. The idea was the landing gear would come down or the door would come down and kill an Earthling. So we would come out and like, we come in peace to see you, and then they go, kill him. And then he would always say, let's get out of here. And then we go we go in the little wooden spaceship and we're tight quarters. His head is like an inch from my face and he's just red-faced laughing so hard at the idea of, let's get out of here. It's its own dialect, Chris Walken.
Can I say my real quick Walken, okay? Real quick Walken story, real quick?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. We're right in Continental. It was his idea. Continental was totally his idea. They had done it on the show before.
POV of the camera.
Debonair man.
Yeah. Office. And it was just me and him. And I was in heaven, of course. And so I said, hey, what about if you go, I have fallen for you and I can't get up. And he said, I don't know what you're saying. I go, oh, there's this Life Alert commercial where the lady goes, I have fallen, I can't get up. He goes, no, I don't know it. No. And so I go, oh no, you just say, I have fallen for you and I can't get up. No, what? No. And so he kept saying no. And finally he said, don't bring it up again. No more. And so I go, oh, okay. So on Saturday, so we had a sketch and I put it on cue cards and then I go up to walk in. It's right before dress, and I go, "Hey, Chris, I mean, maybe just like if I just sneak in right here, all you have to do is say, I have fallen for you, and I can't get up." Okay, put it on the cards. Like really mad, and so I ran and put it on the cards, and dress rehearsal goes, and he comes to that line, and it fucking destroys. It just blows the roof off. Laugh goes forever. Mm-hmm. Calendar leaves flying off the wall just forever. And so I'm waiting for him as he comes off stage for dress rehearsal. I'm just standing there all excited. He walks by and he goes, I don't know what I said, but I'm saying it again. He had never seen the commercial. He had no idea what we're talking about. So that's Walken.
Man.
All right. Well, that's it for Fred. We did a great job. We could actually go on and on, but
comedy all-star, writer, comedian, all around.
Oh, also wrote Grown Ups and Grown Ups too. Jeez.
That's some huge
keeping the lights
movies
on at TBS for the last
Jesus
fucking 9 years.
Criminy, Pat Sajak show, MTV Music Movie Awards, Strange Wilderness, and on and on and on. Huge resume. Can't get
Drunk
to
parents.
it in one podcast.
Thanks for having me on, you guys.
Might have you on again. We might.
Okay.
Season
all right, you
3.
guys. Thank you so much. It was a blast.
Nice.
Thanks, buddy.
Thanks,
Bye,
buddy.
Dana.
See you guys.
This has been a podcast presentation of Cadence 13. Please listen, then rate, review, and follow all episodes. Available now for free wherever you get your podcast.
No joke, folks. Fly on the Wall has been a presentation of Cadence 13. Executive produced by Dana Carvey and David Spade, Chris Corcoran of Cadence 13, and Charlie Finan of Brillstein Entertainment.
The show's lead producer is Greg Holtzman with production and engineering support from Serena Regan and Chris Basil of Cadence 13.